Stick with me, you and I are about to watch an 8-year-old save rich kids with just a tiny fruit knife. After getting escorted back to my home country, I accidentally unlocked the instant billionaire achievement. During the dramatic family reunion, my wealthy mother stared at me with pure disgust. She snapped, "Fine, you are back, but do not dare bully your precious little brother." Everyone expected me to cry a river. Instead, I calmly turned to my dad, Arthur Thorne, and asked, "Wait, is she my stepmom?" The maids standing nearby almost completely choked on their own spit. Luckily, they covered their mouths fast. Madame Eleanor turned bright tomato red and furiously yelled, "What is this brat talking about? How am I a stepmom?" Hearing that, I just tilted my head in pure confusion. Is that not true? If I am your real son, and you lost me, should you not treat me like an absolute VIP now that I am back? Why play favorites with an adopted kid while looking at me like walking trash? My flawless logic right there left her standing completely, utterly speechless. She just stood there buffering. I honestly could not care less about these NPCs. I faced Arthur. "Where is my room?" "Second floor next to the window," Arthur replied. I nodded, turned around, and marched upstairs. Traveling all the way from the border, my raw survival instincts kept me on high alert. I had not slept a wink in days. I barely reached the room before my whole system totally shut down. When I rebooted, it was already morning. Now watch closely here. Seeing a toy nearby, I instantly ripped its head off, checking inside. Phew, no hidden traps inside. Opening the room door, I followed the amazing scent of food straight into the massive dining room. Thanks to Arthur giving strict orders, Eleanor and Hugo had to awkwardly wait. Watching me casually stroll in, she coldly snorted, "Sleeping until noon and making everyone wait. You have absolutely zero manners. Hurry up and sit down now. Hugo is waiting to go out. Later, you will meet his elite classmates. Act normal. They are upper-tier kids unlike those from your tiny village." "I am not going." "Do not wait." What? Hearing this, Hugo looked absolutely furious. "If you were not going, why not say so earlier? You made us wait forever." I simply hit him with a totally deadpan look. "Nobody ever asked if I wanted to go." Eleanor thought I was being a toxic troll. She grabbed Hugo, storming off without one single word. Seeing those annoying mobs finally despawn, I enjoyed a rare, peaceful, top-tier breakfast. Just as I prepared to leave the table, a teenage girl around 15 or 16 slowly walked downstairs with super messy hair. She gave me a cold side eye, totally ignored my existence, and started eating her breakfast. The butler nervously stepped up for awkward introductions. "Miss, this is the young master who returned yesterday. Young master, this is your older sister, Chloe." Chloe did not even bother lifting a single eyebrow. The butler gave me an embarrassed smile. But turning around, he noticed I was hyper-focused on the sleek laptop in Chloe's hands. "Young master, is there something wrong here?" I just pointed straight at the laptop and asked, "Where do you buy that?" The butler suddenly looked deeply troubled. "Since you are young and probably never touched a computer out in the countryside, we have not put one in your room yet." Before the butler could even finish, I walked to my chair, pulled out a plastic bag, grabbed a massive stack of cash, and directly handed it over. "I have money! Can I buy one?" "I know what you're thinking." That absolute baller move completely shocked Chloe. She turned, staring at my completely dead, serious face. Suddenly, she found this feral kid highly interesting. "You want this shiny thing?" I nodded with 100% sincerity. Chloe smirked playfully. Her pretty face showed absolute chaos. "I can give this to you, but do you even know how?" I immediately stepped forward, incredibly curious. "How do you play WoW? Watch closely, kiddo. These fancy graphics you see are actually made of these boring letters like this." Suddenly, her fingers rapidly flew across the mechanical keyboard. Lines of alien text appeared. Code scrolled down just like the Matrix. Finally, she hit enter. A brand new webpage popped up. Simple, right? Want to try? Even a potato could understand this. If you fail, it proves you are a massive noob and you cannot call me sister anymore. The poor butler was sweating bullets. With her pro hacker skills, challenging this feral kid was basically exactly like bullying a helpless infant. Thinking about how I just arrived from the countryside, he suddenly felt incredibly bad for me. Chloe generously picked me right up, plonking me onto her gaming chair. I casually poked around for a bit. Relying purely on my photographic memory, I typed a long string of characters and hit enter. When the page loaded, Chloe's jaw completely dropped. "You did this?" She quickly snatched the laptop back to the main screen, frantically trying to find bugs to see if I used cheat codes. I looked at her completely confused. Did you not just watch me type it? The more Chloe looked, the more her genius brain short-circuited. That is not the point. The code structure is fine, but why are there so many spelling typos? This is where we leave it. I answered honestly. I never went to school. The only words I know are secret communication codes from the border. Stick with me. You and I are about to watch a total glitch in reality. Then boom, she just scooped me up like a potato sack and bolted straight upstairs. The poor butler was absolutely shaking in terror. He chased her screaming that the master strictly banned player versus player combat indoors. Chloe just screamed back for him to shut his mouth. Chloe tossed me right at her massive gaming setup, instantly pulling up 4 complex code panels. She asked what I understood. I just stared at the weird text, then calmly pointed my finger right at the 3rd glowing monitor. I asked if that part was wrong. Chloe completely froze, leaning in to squint. I dragged my tiny finger upward. Because it was a touch screen, I casually deleted the bad code and typed a fix. Before she could even react, I smashed enter. She screamed at me to stop. Chloe was about to absolutely rage quit. Her elite hacker guild was fighting a massive cyber tournament. Now watch closely. This is where everything goes wild. They were desperately defending against a massive attack to win the big championship. She literally had not slept in days. They reached the final boss, but because she grabbed some quick toast, she thought this feral kid ruined it all. Right as she was about to explode, the entire screen flashed brightly. A massive victory banner just popped up out nowhere. Instantly, her headset exploded with her hyped teammates screaming that Boss Chloe was a literal god. One flawless shot completely destroyed their enemy weak spot. The rival server got sent to the Shadow Realm. They were the champions. Hearing their absolute monkey screams of pure joy, Chloe slowly turned toward the screen. Her eyes grew impossibly wide. She awkwardly asked if I wanted a computer. She offered to buy me one, scratching her head. Getting carried by an 8-year-old was embarrassing. Now she was desperately trying to bribe me. I had no clue what a tournament was, but I figured I did good, so I didn't hold back. I said yes. She promised we were shopping right away. When we hit the mega mall, I had already finished reading an entire heavy dictionary. Chloe simply refused to believe it. She pointed at random signs, testing me. I casually glanced over. Not only did I pronounce everything perfectly, I explained their meanings and quoted complex idioms for massive extra psychological damage. Chloe stared at me in horror. How was my brain wired? Since when did our family have super rare legendary tier genetics? It was my first time visiting such a crowded fancy place. Honestly, I felt really stressed. My survival instincts were scanning every single person, perfectly calculating their threat levels. Chloe just assumed the crowd scared me. She paused for a second, then warmly grabbed my hand to comfort me, saying Big Sister was here. In the tech section, she marched straight into a familiar store. Chloe waved her hand like an absolute boss. She demanded the most overpowered maximum spec setup they had. The store owner was actually Chloe's close friend. Seeing her drag a little kid inside completely shocked him. You and I know a sister shopping with her brother is a rare spawn, he joked. The young master looked too crispy today. She told him to shut up. I wasn't that crybaby Hugo, but her real biological brother. I just stood there waiting for the computer. Suddenly my collar was hoisted into the air. The setup was too heavy, so she just ordered home delivery. Chloe carried me out of the shop like a stray kitten. She checked the map and we headed straight to the bookstore. Inside, she followed the signs to the tech section, grabbed a stack of basic programming books, and shoved them into my arms. She said these were for my foundation because my code structure was absolute garbage. I held a stack thicker than bricks. Everything felt amazing and new. I had only seen places like this on television. Looking around, I suddenly spotted a very familiar girl. She looked up and spotted me. Her mouth formed an O shape in pure surprise. She practically sprinted right toward me. Leo, why are you here? I was going to visit in 2 days. Are you doing okay? She was basically my only friend in this massive city. Having helped me before, I nodded, saying I was at the Thorn family now. The food is good. Thanks. She was super happy, smiling. That is great, but Chloe Thorn is not a nice person. Watch out. She might bully you. She is the legendary tyrant in both middle and high school. She spares no one. She was just worried about my health. I shook my head. Before I could explain, a huge hand grabbed me, pulling me safely behind someone's back. Nora Quinn, who are you calling a bully? That is my brother. Why try to aggro him? Nora just froze. She looked at Chloe, then at me. You guys came together, Chloe snapped. Duh, who else would he be with you? Nora raised her hands defensively. Total misunderstanding. Your brother and I returned from the border together. He helped me a lot. I wanted to check on him. Chloe thought she was acting like a fake NPC, but she let go of me, mocking her. Only a weakling like you gets kidnapped. What is the point of high grades? A gust of wind could easily knock you out. So what do you and I think? Nora smiled gracefully at the trash talk, bending down to check my books. Stick with me here. Reading all this, you understand it? I nodded. Since Nora was a total genius, I asked, could you help pick out some study guides? Honestly, Chloe's stats were entirely maxed out in the tech tree, not academics. That dictionary we had was massive, but the backstory was way too confusing. I only remembered it because my brain operates like a supercomputer. Instantly, Nora smiled, her eyes turning into happy crescents. She was super excited to finally return the favor. Since my heroic rescue was kept totally secret, she just wanted to spoil me privately. Honestly, going home, she felt me pretending to be a Thorn kid was suspicious. She was actually planning to visit the Thorn mansion soon to totally adopt me. Her family had serious cash to raise a stray kid, but seeing Chloe defending me like a final raid boss, yeah, things just got super complicated. I was totally clueless about the intense, glaring contest happening between these two girls. Instead, I just followed Nora straight over to the beginner textbook section. Checking out her choices, I felt pretty happy and muttered, thanks. Nora reached out to pat my head, but Chloe immediately shot her a fierce glare. Now watch this move. Nora pointed high up instead. Actually, reading stories teaches words way faster. Comics are super fun. Want to try some? I nodded, totally curious. You cannot see from down there. Let me boost you up so you can choose. Nora opened her arms wide. I was right about to agree, but suddenly my feet just floated off the floor. Chloe snatched me by the arms, lifting me high to provoke Nora. He is not your little brother. Back off. Nora frowned at this rough treatment. You are making him uncomfortable. Chloe finally noticed and quickly dropped me. Sighing softly, Nora bent down, held my arms with pure care, and lifted me up like a fragile piece of glass. In the babysitting stats department, Nora's gentle approach was clearly a top tier. Comics in hand, our trio casually strolled out of the bookstore. Nora suddenly offered me some ice cream. Honestly, that stuff is literally just pure sugar. Why do people even like it, Chloe? Absolutely hating sweets. Just scoffed. Meanwhile, Nora pointed at the menu, asking my favorite flavor. I shook my head, admitting I never tried it. Chloe, walking right behind us, heard that confession. She completely froze in place. For the very first time, she noticed my painfully skinny frame. My hair was yellowish, looking exactly like dry hay. You feel that, right? Just getting regular meals was a luxury for me, let alone expensive desserts in fancy shops. For a brief second, major guilt hit her for not paying attention. Feeling totally heartbroken, she immediately marched forward and grabbed my hand tight. Bring out every flavor you sell, take your sweet time, and taste test everything here. Minutes later, our parlor table was fully loaded with colorful ice cream stacked into a massive mountain just for me. Curious, I took a tiny scoop of the dark chocolate. Boom, pure sweetness exploded in my mouth, making my eyes shine bright like headlights. Chloe just kept staring at my reaction. Catching my huge smile, she looked incredibly proud. If you like this, I will buy an entire fridge full for home. Eat until you absolutely pass out. Nora sat across from us, feeling helpless but super amused. Kids have really sensitive stomachs. Too much cold food causes stomach aches. Chloe blanked out, briefly scratched her head, and muttered, why are human children just so incredibly complicated to handle? Right at that exact moment, a loud group of kids walked past outside. The flashiest kid there suddenly stopped staring into the shop. My warning radar pinged, and looking up, I locked eyes with a completely stunned Hugo. The kids outside noticed Hugo freezing up. Following his shocked gaze, they spotted our trio. Hey, Hugo, is that not your older sister? Why is she feeding some random kid expensive food? Yeah. Did you not say she was too busy to hang out? Is that girl across from her the high school genius? She is so gorgeous. Man, wealthy kids definitely matured way too early. They knew everything about the famous upperclassmen, especially Chloe and Nora, two beautiful absolute legends carrying massive school reputations. These two were constant gossip material. Hugo was only the squad leader because his sister happened to be the absolute tech god, Chloe. Hugo, you said your sister loves you most. Let us go inside. Tell her to buy everyone ice cream. Yeah, exactly. I want some ice cream too. The peer pressure was heavy. Hugo could never back down. Glaring at us, he gritted his teeth. "Fine, let's go." A wild horde of kids rushed inside before the staff could even speak. "Sis!" Hugo took the lead, grabbing Chloe's sleeve, acting entirely sweet and adorable. "Why did you not say you were hanging out? We could have come together. My friends really admire you guys too." "Yeah, Chloe, Hugo claims you are a pro gamer. Could you teach us? Wow, you guys ordered tons of ice cream. Can we share?" Surrounded by noisy gremlins, the endless chatter gave Chloe a massive headache. Visibly annoyed, she just swatted Hugo's hand completely away. "If you want food, buy it yourself. It is not like you are broke. Why exactly are you crashing our hangout?" Hugo never expected her to embarrass him in front of his entire squad. Turning completely beet red, he gritted his teeth, playing the ultimate victim. "But I just wanted to hang out." The confused kids pointed at me. "Trust me, you are gonna love what happens next." "Who is he?" Let's dive into today's wild drama. Why is he eating with Chloe? Is he Nora's brother? Total nonsense. Hearing the gossip, Hugo started sweating bullets, terrified they would discover he was actually just adopted. In pure panic, his mouth moved faster than his brain. He claimed I was the new maid's son. The whole squad just went, "Oh." They glared right at me, their eyes completely loaded with judgment, whispering how my clothes looked cheap and why I seemed so gloomy. "Hugo, why buy food for the maid's kid? Treat us instead." But before Hugo could cook up another fake story, a massive slam. Chloe slammed her palm against the table. The boom made every single kid jump completely out of their skin. Looking up, they saw her face was absolutely storming with pure rage. She glared absolute daggers at Hugo. "Who exactly are you calling a maid's son? You have been living in the Thorn house way too long. Did you forget your place?" Grabbing him fiercely, she hissed that his food, his clothes, and even his last name were entirely stolen. Where did he find the nerve to talk so much garbage? Hugo had never seen her so furious before. Totally humiliated in public, his fake tears started rushing down like a broken faucet. Chloe despised this little crybaby routine. Shoving him away in pure disgust, she pointed straight at me and announced to the little gremlins to listen up. "He is my actual biological brother. If I ever catch you bullying him, I will personally send every single one of you into orbit." Understand, the kids were absolutely terrified by her massive raid boss energy. Forget checking status. They just wanted to survive this. Scattering instantly, they left a crying Hugo furiously rubbing his eyes as he ran toward Mommy Eleanor. Sitting nearby, Nora just shook her head and sighed heavily. That adopted kid honestly needs a major system upgrade right now. Chloe snorted loudly, but miraculously did not argue back. By the third ice cream cone, my health bar was completely full. I honestly could not eat anymore. Staring at the leftover desserts made me sad. Nora easily read my mind. She suggested packing it up so we would not waste a single bite at home. Honestly, I had zero clue you could take epic loot to go like that. I nodded right away. After eating, an eager Chloe asked if I wanted anything else ready to buy it. "Now pay attention, things get wild here. My inventory was totally full, so I just declined." Suddenly, a massive explosion shook the first floor, followed by completely terrified screams. I immediately found cover and ducked down. The girls instinctively hid behind the glass railing alongside me. "What was that?" Chloe felt her ears ringing constantly. I turned around, placed a finger over my lips for silence, and whispered about the dangerous sounds. What Nora and Chloe gasped in total unison. They peeked toward the exact direction I was watching. Sure enough, the first floor was in absolute chaos. A masked guy was wildly waving a metal blaster around like a total maniac. He roared for nobody to move, then aggressively smashed the jewelry counter glass. He demanded all the gold in the bag immediately. Trembling staff crawled forward with their hands raised, opening the display cases to gather the shiny loot for him. "Is this guy completely crazy, robbing a mega mall jewelry shop?" Chloe frowned, spotting a brave worker secretly pressing the silent alarm. "The local police station is literally right down the street. Cops will arrive in a blink. Anyone with half a brain would avoid pulling a heist here. Something is seriously wrong with him." Nora noticed the strange anomaly too, staring closely at his weapon hand. He was constantly shaking and could not stand straight. If not sick, he is definitely drunk. If cops rush in right now, it could easily trigger a total disaster wipeout. Sure enough, just minutes later, the tactical team arrived outside. Hearing their loud megaphone, the frantic man's mood instantly went completely chaotic. "I know what you are thinking." He shoved the blaster against a worker. "Did you snitch on me?" Without waiting, He just ruthlessly pulled the trigger. Bang! A deafening shot rang out. Everyone witnessed absolute horror, but luckily the massive recoil ruined his aim. The poor staff member only took a hit to the shoulder, collapsing to the floor groaning. Even so, the mall filled with panicked screams. Among them, one particular kid was crying exceptionally loud. The man turned toward the noise, spotting a dozen kids huddled together. He marched straight over, aggressively grabbed one, aiming his tool directly at the kid. "Shut up! Stop crying!" The three of us on the second floor saw everything perfectly. Those kids were actually Hugo's frightened classmates. Meanwhile, a trembling Hugo was hugged tightly by Madame Eleanor, fresh from her manicure, hiding safely behind a completely fake potted plant. Motherly instinct, I guess. Chloe took a deep breath, intensely gritting her teeth. Our luck is absolute garbage. Nora held her back tightly, totally scared she would try something reckless. Then suddenly I moved. I ducked and sprinted into a nearby store. "Hey, Leo!" Nora and Chloe could not catch me. Using the crazy robber's blind spot, they carefully walked right after me. Rushing into a mountaineering gear shop, I quickly locked targets, grabbed a tactical folding knife, some sturdy rope, and quickly snatched a thick marker from the cashier's front desk. Nora rushed in, asking what I was doing. I handed her the marker. "Trust me, you and I will love what happens next. Stick with me here." Nora had no clue about my strategy, but I was already making moves. She just had to follow along. Reaching the second-floor lounge, she suddenly spotted me standing right across from the glass, staring down the SWAT team outside, prepping a forced breach. I spread my arms wide, gesturing for them not to break the glass. Nora rushed over. Pulling her down instantly, I pointed right at the officer outside and told her to say the lone wolf target is intoxicated, already attacked someone, and is holding kids hostage. Nora finally figured out what that marker was for. Rushing right to the window, she quickly scribbled down the intel. Sure enough, the tactical officer paused and immediately radioed his command. I gave Nora's shirt a little tug, looked up calmly, and said, "He has spicy fireworks." I spotted the fuse wires. The colors are just a little strange. What Nora and Chloe shuddered in absolute fear. Chloe quickly crouched down and asked what color the wires were. Rainbow-colored. At the border, I usually only saw gray or dirt-colored ones. Chloe shot Nora a very grim look, nodding. Probably from a prop shop. It is a massive trend in the underground market right now. They can easily be modded into real boomsticks. Nora frowned deeply. The very next second, she wrote on the glass that the suspect has explosives. She could not afford to be vague here. Otherwise, the danger levels would absolutely skyrocket. That crucial piece of intel made the officer outside talk on his radio for ages. Tugging Nora's shirt, my voice sounded childish but strangely calm. I said I will infiltrate and provide backup. What Nora and Chloe were completely stunned at the exact same time. Their panicked reaction was perfectly synchronized. No way too dangerous. You and I know letting an 8-year-old fight a robber is pure madness. But down on the first floor, a child started wailing again, followed by the robber roaring impatiently. The tension inside the mall hit absolute maximum capacity. Time was officially up. I bent down, hid the tool in my sock, grabbed the rope, and sprinted away. Nora and Chloe were totally caught off guard. They could not stop me. Darn it! Chloe patted Nora's shoulder and quickly chased after me. Nora was absolutely terrified I would get game overed. Gritting her teeth, she wrote my plan on the glass, closed her eyes, and sprinted after us, leaving the SWAT officers completely dumbfounded. By the glass railing on the second floor, I found a perfect blind spot behind the guy and securely tied the rope to the railing. Chloe tried to help, but quickly realized my swift movements were pro-level. The knot was super complex and rock solid. She pulled hard, but it did not budge an inch. Seeing me about to slide down the rope, she panicked, saying I desperately needed a safety harness, and offered to slowly lower me down. Nora walked up slowly, hesitating just a bit before softly asking if I was absolutely sure I could do this. I turned, looking at her, and gave a silent nod. Nora exhaled deeply, pulling Chloe's hand away. She quietly whispered that I really must be careful. That was genuinely the first time anyone had ever said that to me. I gave Nora a long look, then gently grabbed onto the rope. In the blink of an eye, before they could even process it, whoosh, I slid right down to the lower floor. Nora and Chloe quickly leaned over the railing. My tiny figure was already in full stealth mode. Forget the armed robber, even the terrified hostages around him barely noticed I existed. You saw that, right? Everyone was too busy staring at the SWAT team, watching me crouch and expertly navigate through the crowd inch by inch, slowly approaching Hugo. Nora suddenly gripped Chloe's arm, panicking, asking if they made a massive mistake. He just got home. She knew her parents' personalities too well. Her dad only cared about money. Her mom definitely favored Hugo. And to Chloe, this mysterious kid was just a temporary obsession, a stray she had picked up to hang out with. Just because he called her sister once. Was it really worth him risking his life? Nora turned to look at her. She still had not told Chloe he was not a biological brother, just a total stranger. But right now they only had one choice. We have to trust him. Trust that he can save them from that maniac. I firmly believed I was not just some normal kid. Down on the first floor, the hostage kid was still crying. The drunk robber roared in sheer frustration. "Shut up, you hear me? If you do not, I will send you to Jesus right now." Seeing him press that weapon right against the kid's head, the entire crowd gasped in horror at the entrance. The police finally took my brilliant tactical advice. They sent plainclothes officers to blend into the crowd. Seeing the severe situation by the gold counter, they all took a sharp breath. Thank goodness they avoided forcing a breach earlier. With many kids and civilians around, even a single casualty would be a totally massive failure. The problem was the building's layout. Snipers had zero line of sight, deeply increasing the difficulty of taking down this hostile target. Right now, they absolutely did not dare place hopes on some weird stealth kid. They could only slowly, secretly close the gap. Meanwhile, I sneaked past the decorative plants. When I popped up next to Eleanor and Hugo was burying his face in Eleanor's chest, sobbing. Eleanor's jaw dropped. "You and I must see what happens next." "All right, stick with me here." Taking care of Hugo was already frying her brain. Adding another kid impossible, but I gave her absolutely zero time to panic. I brushed her arm aside. My tiny hand formed a sharp chop, delivering one clean strike right to the back of Hugo's neck. I might look small, but my strength stats are totally maxed out. Hugo instantly went to sleep. Eleanor was terrified, ready to scream. I quickly slapped my hand over her mouth, pointing straight at the mall stairwell. My signal was clear: carry Hugo and escape. A second later, Madame Eleanor calmed down, hugged Hugo super tight, and crawled away. It had solid cover so she wouldn't be spotted. But halfway there, she realized I wasn't following. She could not help looking back, only to see me squatting down, silently watching her. "Leo!" Her lips trembled, screaming my name in her heart. I just shook my head silently, urging her to hurry up and get out. "Please stay. Let's leave together." Eleanor desperately wanted to shout that, but looking at Hugo in her arms, a mother's fear won the mental battle. She gave me one last emotional look before ruthlessly turning to run. Chloe saw everything from upstairs. Gritting her teeth, eyes red, feeling completely useless while also feeling disgusted by her mother's absolute heartless choice. I watched the Thorn duo successfully escape, then shifted my gaze. I firmly believe nothing in this world is free. Earlier, Chloe bought me a computer and top-tier ice cream, so I really had to return the huge favor. As for saving everyone in the mall, the grandpa who raised me always said when there are too many villains around, doing good deeds is the only way to stay a good person. I refused to end up like those greedy villagers. I wanted to be a good guy. Panicking kids were still crying loudly, heavily, drawing the robber's attention, but it also made him way more furious. His hand gripped the trigger so tightly that his veins popped. I saw the hostage kid choking desperately, gasping for air. His lips were turning blue. I knew I could not wait another second, so I blended right into the crying kids. The second he turned to check the entrance, I lunged forward, grabbed the hostage kid's legs, and yanked him straight to the floor. Caught completely off guard, the robber stumbled back and dropped the kid. Who is the little rat that did that? Furious, the guy spun around. Without thinking, he raised his weapon and rushed over. Whack! My forehead took a brutal smash, but I stood frozen. The terrified crowd watching literally forgot to breathe, terrified. This total psycho would just pull his trigger right away. Honestly, you and I would have completely panicked under pressure. A mistake could happen in a split second. But instead of crying, I stayed calm and slowly raised my hands to surrender. My dark eyes were totally bottomless. My unnaturally calm face actually made the criminal pause. His short-circuited brain could not process anything. He just scooped me up as human cover. Whether it was Nora's squad upstairs or the undercover cops, nobody expected things to go this incredibly smoothly. I know what you're thinking. An 8-year-old's tactical plan actually worked wild right, but the cops just had to play along. Hanging in his arms, I finally got a clear view of the lobby police. Sadly, their ambush positions were still way too far. They needed to wait to get closer for a perfect takedown. For now, I just had to act like a perfectly helpless prop. But right as the police crept closer, the villain's phone started ringing. That loud tune pierced the silence, freezing absolutely everyone in place. The guy instantly realized who was calling. His emotions exploded. After aggressively tossing me down, he pointed his tool at me with one hand and answered his phone. "Hello, Rue, is it really you? Break up." "No way," I refused to break up. "You said you needed 3 gold dowry sets, right? I am getting them right now." "Forget 3, I will give you 5. I am coming to propose today." "Rue, hello, hello!" he desperately screamed out. The person on the phone hung up completely, fueling his crazy rage. He suddenly started sobbing, howling in misery. "Scammers, you are all liars." Completely losing his mind, he raised the barrel, totally ready to blast the crowd. A millisecond before he pulled the trigger, I rushed him. My movements were incredibly fast, like a tiny phantom. Dashing into his blind spot, I landed a precision chop right on his wrist. He screamed tragically. The weapon dropped to the floor. He collapsed, twitching. Seeing the squad of cops rushing straight at him, absolute despair flashed in his crazy eyes. Where he found the strength, nobody will know. He somehow grabbed the barrel with his other hand, lay flat on his back, and aimed it right at his stomach. A nearby cop turned pale and screamed, "Get down!" Everyone charging forward immediately hit the deck, desperately covering their heads. So what do you and I learn here? With unpredictable explosives hitting the deck is the only way to avoid that crazy area damage. Let's dive in. Suddenly, a second terrifying scream echoed through the entire place. Following that awful sound, they looked over. Just to see me kneeling beside the guy, my tactical knife held high, dripping with red right after the strike. His other wrist was totally slashed. I yanked his jacket wide open. I did not even waste time checking if those explosives were real or fake. Ripped those fuse wires straight out, stood up tall, kicked the blaster away, and just silently stared down a dozen stunned cops. Those officers stood there completely mind-blown by my crazy smooth action hero level combo. They stared totally dumbfounded at me, holding a blade covered in red, looking super intimidating. If I wasn't just a kid, they would have assumed I was some ruthless professional. It took them a really long time to mentally reboot. They scrambled up one by one, stared at his cleanly severed tendons, then looked back at me. Right then, Nora and Chloe rushed over, surrounding me and checking my health from head to toe. "Did he choke you? Does it hurt? How is your head? Are you dizzy?" "No, we need to get to the hospital immediately. That hit to your head was serious business." I looked at them totally blankly and whispered, "I am fine." But obviously nobody listened. The 2 girls dragged me outside, one on each side. The cops stepped right up to block our path. They hesitated, looking my way, asking if this kid could maybe give a statement first. He looked at me, clearly unsure of what to even call me. "Watch this closely." Chloe stepped up, going full boss mode. "No, do you not see this massive lump on his head? We are heading to the hospital now. If you need something, come to the Thorne Mansion and find me. Arthur Thorne is my dad." With that statement, she dragged me away. I was rushed to the hospital for some patching up. The bruises on my neck were also fully treated. Hearing I bravely took down the bad guy, the nurse even stuck a little gold star right onto my fresh head bandage. Walking out of the clinic, Nora and Chloe stayed right beside me, making completely sure I was actually okay. They finally let out a sigh of relief. Nora, usually gentle, rarely lectured people. She looked at me very seriously. "Never do anything that risky ever again. Dangerous situations are for adults to handle. You are still just a kid, you understand." Chloe rarely agreed with her. With a very serious face, she added, "If you do not listen next time you go out, I will assign bodyguards to trail you." Right then, rushed footsteps echoed loudly from the far end of the hallway. Arthur Thorne and another guy came sprinting toward us. Spotting the 3 of us outside the clinic, he grabbed Chloe nervously. "Chloe, are you hurt?" Chloe just swatted his hand away. "I was not the one saving people. Why are you staring at me?" Reminded by her words, Arthur finally glanced my way, but his first reaction was not checking my health. "You felt that too." Instead, he frowned and scolded, "Who let you play hero? Do you know how dangerous that was? I heard you even knocked Hugo out." Zero sense of restraint. "Do not ever do anything that foolish again." The moment those harsh words left his mouth, forget Chloe, even Nora's expression instantly darkened. Dad, Chloe simply couldn't hold back. She stepped right in front of me, yelling, "He saved Mom and Hugo." The entire mall, including myself, did not get destroyed today because of him. You all bowing down to thank him still would not be enough. What right do you have to scold him? Do you not see the fresh bandage on his head? Do you even see him as your son? But Arthur just got that DNA report. He possessed absolutely zero self-awareness right about now. Since I was not his actual kid, just some bootleg copy from nowhere, and he already registered my name with Grandpa, causing him a massive headache. Obviously, his tone would not be nice. Chloe, stay out of this entirely. He forcefully shoved Chloe aside. He is used to running wild outside. If I do not discipline him now, he will cause a disaster later, saying that he tried stepping forward again. This time, a second figure firmly blocked him. It was Nora. Nora was famous for being the flawless child, smart, virtuous, and respectful to elders. This was the very first time she used an icy face against someone. Old Thorn, let's talk this out calmly. Suddenly, the middle-aged man who stayed quiet all this time placed a reassuring hand on Arthur's shoulder, smiling warmly. This kid just went through a super traumatizing event. If you want to lecture him, save it for later. If you are still annoyed, why not just let him stay over at my place for a few days? I actually really like this little guy. Nora's eyes immediately lit up hearing this. Dad, I was just about to invite Leo over. Let him recover at our house. The middle-aged man, Nora's dad, Mr. Quinn, kept his trademark smile and nodded. Good, good, good. Your mom always wanted a son anyway. A few days at our house will be absolutely great. Normally, with the business ties between the Quinn and Thorne families, Arthur should be absolutely thrilled. But right now, he hesitated. His smile stiffened as he declined. I will not bother CEO Quinn. This kid is too rowdy. Better to let him rest at home. Grandpa will be picking him up soon anyway. I was not true Thorne family. So what do you and I make of this? Logically, he should have kicked me out, but he could not explain it to Grandpa. With no time to find his real son, I had to stay cosplaying the heir. All right, stick with me. He absolutely couldn't risk another family taking me away and exposing our wild secret. He stood his ground, completely forcing the Quinn duo to back off. Before heading out, Nora handed me her contact details, telling me to call if I needed help. I just nodded, pocketing the note while Hugo was still getting his full body scan at the hospital. Only Chloe went home with me. We had just finished washing up when police arrived. They came to get my statement, and honestly, a massive squad of them filled up the Thorne living room. Besides the captain and his assistant, over a dozen officers squeezed inside, just standing there looking completely awkward. Sitting on the opposite sofa, Chloe frowned hard. Do you guys seriously need this huge crowd for questioning? Anyone would think you were capturing a boss. Captain Luke just rubbed his nose, smiling pretty awkwardly. Honestly, today was totally thanks to the young Thorne master helping out. I basically saved them, so everyone wanted to stop by and say thanks. Seeing their captain explain things, those huge guys behind him quickly stepped forward, bowing one by one to show their gratitude. I just sat quietly on the sofa holding my fresh ice cream, watching it melt, while counting exactly how many guys were left to thank me. Without the mall security cameras, they definitely would never believe this tiny kid, right in front of them, was the hero who rushed the climbing shop, gearing up with a rope and knife. Now watch this part closely. I sneaked past the cops, went solo, and absolutely stopped a dangerous weapon with my head. Even the captain was totally stunned despite seeing crazy things before. He quickly focused himself, ordered his squad back, and officially started his questioning routine. When the loud bang happened, you two were together, right? Chloe nodded confidently, taking charge. Yeah, we just finished eating our ice cream and stepped outside. So your first instinct was hiding, obviously. Chloe spoke like it was totally obvious. The captain simply smiled, but his sharp eyes searched. A regular person hearing a loud noise would look around to see the drama not hide away, meaning you instantly recognized it was a dangerous weapon going off in the mall. Chloe completely froze. Thinking about it, his logic made total sense, but honestly, she wasn't the first one. That was me. But her gut instinct said telling the truth meant big trouble, so she just frowned, looking annoyed. What are you implying? Do you suspect we helped the robbers? Do not misunderstand, just doing standard procedure. Luke had solved countless cases over his career. One quick look and he knew she was dodging questions. He was not rushing, merely smiling, planning to dig deeper. Right then, I finally spoke up while quietly eating my melting ice cream. I recognized it. It was a pew-pew sound. The living room instantly went dead silent. Shocked eyes instantly locked right onto me. Luke narrowed his gaze at the eerily calm kid sitting across. Have you heard that before? Where I just licked the ice cream off my lip. At the border. Luke finally remembered. My files said I was kidnapped near the border. Those thugs absolutely had weapons, but he was not sure if they fired them because right before getting busted, that entire gang actually perished in a huge fire. Your reaction time is absolutely insane. You're probably wondering the same thing he was. He smiled, closed his file, and asked why use a rope to save everyone like a total hero. The villain had dangerous weapons and explosives. Weren't you terrified? Chloe vaguely felt something was wrong, absolutely hating this tricky interrogation style. She was about to interrupt him when she heard my super clear answer. I was terrified. I nodded, my tiny face completely serious, openly admitting my fear of getting a game over, then bravely added, but if I did nothing, way more people would get hurt. I promised Grandpa I would grow up into a good character who helps everyone. My voice still carried that cute baby tone, but my words left everyone in the room totally stunned. With his deep detective experience, Luke knew I was not lying, speaking with absolute pure sincerity. Completely shaken by the unyielding resolve in my dark eyes, his serious interrogation stopped. Chloe felt pretty emotional too, unconsciously rubbing my tiny head gently. Who is Grandpa? I just glanced at her, unsure how to properly explain it, finally generalizing. The person who raised me. I'm an orphan. Grandpa picked me up, fed me, but I never knew his name. Chloe saw a sad flash of nostalgia in my eyes. Her heart softened instantly, comforting me gently. If you miss him, we can bring him to live right here. I shook my head, staring at the melting ice cream, softly whispering no need. He sadly logged out of this life, struck by villains. I used $30 earned from guiding to buy a simple wooden board, laying him to rest on the mountain. That was my absolute first time guiding inside the ravine behind our village, successfully helping them block the intense pursuit of 3 police cars. Although the greedy villagers took most of the cash, the remaining $30 were handed directly to me. This kid looks sharp, amazing potential. Too bad he is pretty young. And that's where we leave it. The driver smiled, but that truck smelled awful. Trust me, you'll want to see what happens next. I heard they were smuggling expired frozen meat. Huge profits, but anyone eating it would get terribly sick or get their life subscription canceled. I just wanted to bury my grandpa, completely refusing to join their shady guild. You and I are about to see this get wild. The guy smiled menacingly. Born here, your fate is completely sealed. Once a guide, always a guide. We are exactly the same, got it, but I absolutely refused to accept those ridiculous server rules at all. I completely refused to play the bad NPC. So later I actually drew out their secret escape route and gave it straight to the cops. I told them about a major border loophole, giving those totally shady guys a perfect escape route. That terrible meat never reached the city. The smugglers got totally busted too. Purely by chance, I strolled past the guard post one single day. I spotted a drawing pinned up clearly meant for me. I copied the message down, went straight home, and asked around to figure it out. Turns out those exact 2 words meant thank you. Staring at that drawing, I quickly realized I was actually a good NPC. Chloe almost lost it over my casual logged-out comment. She glared intensely at Luke. This happened entirely because you talk way too much. Hearing the kid's backstory made Luke feel extremely awkward, especially since the official file claimed I was 8, but the boy standing right before him was literally just skin and bones. Now pay attention here. Despite obviously suffering so much, he kept a totally pure heart and bravely saved innocent people. Sure, his survival methods were a little hardcore, but honestly completely understandable. Anyway, he genuinely could not bear interrogating me anymore. He let his squad out, sincerely thanked me again, and quickly hurried off. Once the cops finally left, Chloe mumbled quietly, "Seriously, what kind of people are they? Terrible at solving cases, but absolute experts at suspecting allies." When Arthur finally brought Hugo and Eleanor home from the hospital, the exact moment they walked in, they saw a massive feast. Their usually arrogant daughter was literally buzzing around me like a nanny. "Do you want some of this too spicy? These sweet and sour ribs are incredibly top tier. You must eat more meat to buff up. Being this skinny ruins your stats completely. Here, drink this soup." "Let me serve you." The Thorn. Parents instantly felt a huge wave of jealousy because they had never received this VIP treatment. Hugo, freshly awake, started wailing loudly and dived straight into his mother's arms. "Mommy, why does she actually like him and not me? He totally hit me today and it hurts. She should punish him. Why is she acting so incredibly nice?" Eleanor heard his whining and wanted to mute him, but it was way too late. "Did you guys really not explain a single thing to him?" Chloe stood up confidently from the table. Her pretty face radiated pure mockery as she stared right into Hugo's red, crying eyes. You seriously want to know why I prefer Leo? You and I both felt this coming, right? Because he literally saved everyone from those dangerous mall robbers, including you, Mom, and your flashy friends. Meanwhile, you hid, crying in Mom's arms, got saved by Leo, and still falsely reported him. Eleanor could not watch this anymore, desperate to play peacekeeper. Okay, Chloe, your brother was just incredibly scared. Everyone is perfectly safe now, so do not bring it up again. Chloe stared at her mother, eyes brimming with pure disappointment, fighting back a hoarse voice. It is because he saw you upstairs. Leo knew you would panic, so he rushed down first to save everyone. But Mom, you just grabbed Hugo and selfishly ran away. Do you realize Leo had a weapon pressed to his head, almost getting his life subscription completely canceled? Honestly, you and Hugo bowing down to thank him would not even be enough. What right do you have to ban us from talking about this? They had absolutely never seen Chloe this emotional and completely out of control. For a solid second, everyone froze like their ping spiked to 999, totally unsure how to react. I softly whispered, I really want to eat that. Chloe finally wiped her face and turned back to serve me. Seems like you absolutely love fish. Did you live near the sea before? I gently shook my head. No fish at the border. Sure, freezer trucks pass through, but those fish bellies are strictly for hiding shady stuff. I have never eaten seafood before, it just tastes incredibly good. Please eat slower. Watch out for the bones. Seeing me inhale the fish. Chloe absolutely freaked out, focusing 100% on watching me eat, making sure I did not choke. Naturally, she completely lost the mood to troll Eleanor and Hugo. Hugo tried to complain, but Arthur immediately stopped him. He quickly led the mother and son into the study. The DNA report is back. He handed the file to Eleanor, telling them to read it. Seeing his expression, Eleanor felt incredibly suspicious and quickly grabbed the report. What? He has zero biological connection to us. Not our son. Flipping to the last page and seeing the final result, she gasped in total shock. Hugo, standing right beside her, practically had stars in his eyes. He is not family. Dad, let's kick him out right now. Eleanor agreed instantly. No wonder I felt zero connection to him. He is just some random scammer from nowhere. Honey, why didn't you expose him earlier and let Chloe treat him like a king? Arthur's voice deepened heavily. I cannot kick him out. Eleanor was confused. Why? The real Leo Thorne probably got a game over and Grandpa wants a Leo. That is exactly where we leave it. This is a ready-made Leo Thorne, so he truly must be Leo Thorne. Stick with me here. Hugo was hyped, dropping all his anger instantly after hearing they'd inherit Grandpa's massive estate and eventually kick me out. As for Eleanor, even knowing her actual son was gone, she felt mostly pure relief and joy. Why? Because her happy, perfectly stable family wouldn't get broken apart. Walking out of that room hand in hand, the mother and son bumped into me on the stairs. Shockingly, she flashed me a rare smile and Hugo genuinely reached out with an invitation. Our school starts the day after tomorrow. We're in the same class. I'll show you around. I gave literally zero reaction, headed straight to my room and opened today's fresh textbooks and comics. Flipping the pages, I rapidly memorized the new vocabulary words. Before bed, I was already breezing through picture books. Hugging a storybook under the covers, I pondered over Snow White and Sleeping Beauty. Were they real? Honestly, why do I feel like the huntsman would actually eliminate Snow White? Those 7 dwarfs definitely wouldn't help her for free. Plus, that witch's curse was so ridiculously overpowered. The prince couldn't possibly win a 1 versus 1. Anyway, my very second night in the huge city felt completely surreal. Early next morning, before I even woke up, someone knocked super loudly on my door. Leo, are you awake? Chloe yelled out, then impatiently pushed the heavy door wide open. Spotting that unopened PC box sitting in the corner, she instantly raged. You really hugged torn books all night and didn't even start up the PC. What is so fascinating about children's books? Your genius brain belongs to proper business matters. Don't waste it, got it. Still talking, she sprinted straight toward the box, building the PC amazingly fast. Finally, 4 premium LCD monitors created a tight circle, completely boxing me inside, so I literally vanished. Watch closely now. She challenged me to an East server tournament, promising I'd keep absolutely all the epic loot if we actually won. The very first thing she opened up was the tournament registration page. Keeping my poker face, I stared at the Hacker Alliance banner, asking, "This is proper business?" Chloe awkwardly chuckled twice. Fighting against foreign invaders, how is that not justice? This epic hacker raid was provoked when rival countries attacked the capital's cybersecurity department first. Those hackers didn't just shatter the firewall, they blatantly wrote "Sick Men of East Asia" on the homepage, a highly offensive historical insult. This triggered absolutely massive shockwaves across domestic hacker forums. Before the official authorities made their move, they decided to teach the whole world a brutal lesson. Our squad just won first place recently, making us the main damage dealers today. But going against the United States Cyber Division, I'm not exactly fully confident. Chloe sounded super embarrassed. It's everyone's first time riding a crazy tiger they just cannot escape. If we completely fail the first strike, we'll become the community's biggest joke ever. I didn't care about the prize money, but seeing code actually attack people sounded super fascinating. So I calmly asked, "How long until the raid officially begins?" Chloe quickly checked the timer. 6 hours until full assault. Hearing that, I nodded and opened yesterday's basic programming book to finally study. Chloe worried I wouldn't understand the coding material, so she literally camped in my room, even ordering a maid to bring breakfast upstairs. While eating breakfast in the room, I was slowly sipping a glass of cold milk. Meanwhile, Chloe had already booted up comms with her squad. "Boss. Chloe, how's your prep? Didn't you promise to invite a legendary god tier carry? Is he finally here?" We both know they were totally clueless about their win. Chloe calmly monitored everything smoothly, reassuring her hyped team. "Relax, the carry is here. He's literally studying right now." Hearing their savior had arrived, the team got insanely hyped. "The god is here where? Let us worship him for a second." Honestly, Chloe was already fully planning to flex. Turning on the virtual camera with a face filter equipped, she quickly pulled us both into the frame. "Well, do you guys see him?" The squad squinted hard, suddenly realizing something was weirdly off. "Why does the absolute god look so tiny? Is he just really short?" Chloe glanced down at my tiny height and simply nodded. "The kid is still growing. Can't you see him drinking milk?" The team couldn't even force a single laugh, awkwardly playing right along. "Ah, so he's a teenage prodigy like Boss Chloe and super hardworking, up this incredibly early reading books." Multitasking, Chloe casually replied, "Yeah, otherwise he wouldn't even know basic programming. Gotta grind the basics right." Instantly, the entire voice chat went absolutely dead silent. A long minute passed before anyone actually spoke. "Boss Chloe, please don't tell me this legendary carry you found is a literal kid who hasn't ever read a coding book." Chloe nervously thought to herself, "Forget basic coding books, he barely recognizes the alphabet." But she definitely couldn't admit that it would completely shatter her team's mental state. "Guys, relax. If I say it's perfectly fine, it is." She confidently patted her chest, guaranteeing it. Honestly, before yesterday, if anyone claimed a literal toddler could hack a United States government site and hard carry the squad, she'd think they were completely out of their minds. But honestly, after yesterday's wild mall incident, you already know. Let's dive into this wild story. With my pro moves, she had blind confidence. But her squad, they absolutely thought Chloe had completely lost her mind. "Can you read the room? We're hacking an official US site. Don't you know their cyber tech is literally top tier globally? One tiny mistake means game over. If we get caught, we are going to jail. You're just a rich missy. You have bail money. We do not. Whoever wants to play this stupid game, go ahead." The team's morale shattered instantly. Seeing them rage quit, Chloe thought they were joking. But as they logged off one by one, she finally started panicking. This squad was formed at the Science Academy. Many were actual PhD students. She called them, but they flat out refused. Chloe raged and shouted on the spot, "You cowards! Who was hyped to be number one? Now you get first place and dodge the next boss. You should have said so earlier. I wouldn't have partied up with you scrubs." Slamming her phone down, breathing heavily with anger, she blocked contact with those ex-teammates. After blocking them, she sat blankly, turned to look at the kid beside her, still focused on reading, laughed bitterly, and covered the page I read. "Mission canceled. We aren't doing this raid anymore." I looked up, my eyes totally clear. Not the light of justice anymore. Chloe felt embarrassed about the lore she just taught me. She sighed helplessly. "The light of justice isn't easy. Adults will honestly always chicken out. Just the two of us. How can we win? The authorities just want to save face. They will issue a warning and let it slide." Thinking about it, she suddenly felt learning to code was totally meaningless. Being a justice hacker was a lie. I didn't understand the loneliness in her eyes, but I knew she was absolutely wrong. Doing right shouldn't depend on being an adult or kid. If it's like yesterday's program, I can easily handle it. "Watch this." Still willing to party up, Chloe stared blankly until the pure determination in my eyes infected her. Her earlier gloom evaporated completely. She slowly sat up straight. This time we are going big. She opened her PC, leaving a forum message. We will absolutely fire the first shot. It started as a hype post, but soon gossip-hungry hackers flooded in to question it. Heard your team disbanded. What can you do, Solo? I knew something was fishy when you won. Figures you'd drop the ball halfway. Come on, bring it. Fire that shot right at me. Let's see how OP you really are. Do not tell me you cannot even trace my IP. Everyone on the Alliance forum was a total pro. Nobody respected anyone. Chloe's skills were solid, but among god-tier players, she looked a bit weak. These trolls made her mad. She wanted to roll up her sleeves and flame the comments, but looking down at me grinding EXP beside her, it was like getting a pure, calm buff. She chilled out instantly. No time for emotions now. Later, she needed to play the perfect support for me. So for hours, she researched website assault tactics routing and extraction plans. 2 PM hits. You saw this coming, right? While her post became a massive mockery tower, I sat at the main server firing up 4 monitors, officially launching an attack on the highest tech country. At first, nobody noticed. They even thought this campaign was a total flop, just venting anger on the forum at the champion team that supposedly just rage quit. Trash champions, just kids. How dare they beat Dark Emperor? Look at our actual power level. God tiers retreated to the second line. Who is left to fight the US? While everyone hid their IPs gossiping, a wild comment popped up. Holy smokes, the US homepage got wiped. Go look. Everyone thought it was a troll, but those taking screenshots to mock them ended up staring at their screens like idiots. The majestic White House homepage turned into the vibrant, lucky red, loved by the dragon country covered in blooming peony flowers, a true wealth and prosperity aesthetic. Though lacking any words, the image was full of hilarious memes only dragon country folks would truly get. Ha ha ha, what absolute legend did this masterpiece? Wealth and prosperity, wishing good people a peaceful life. Exactly my mom's aesthetic, just passing by. Got to praise the US for top-tier art taste. The comment section vibe did a complete 180, quickly spotting the OP. The first shot, 3 short, punchy words instantly silenced absolutely everyone. They finally realized the exact moment of the attack was the scheduled raid time. The Vanguard actually succeeded, and everyone was caught completely off guard. No time to figure it out. They hastily regrouped their original teams, launching consecutive attacks on other official sites. That is where we leave it. Meanwhile, Chloe left her message leaning back comfortably in her chair, humming a tune. Chloe simply could not stop smiling so widely. Stick with me here. She watched the kid staring at his phone, focusing on coding, and excitedly asked how his tiny genius brain even comes up with all of this stuff. Leaving a picture instead of text is so brilliant. Watching him work, she seriously laughed until her stomach actually hurt. Hearing her reaction, I tilted my head toward Chloe. My dark eyes showed pure confusion as I explained, because I simply do not understand their words. Chloe was stunned. Exactly, an elementary schooler who barely learned the alphabet would definitely find English totally impossible. At that moment, I held up the phone and sincerely said, "You told me this was a friendly greeting image. It has so many flowers. It looks extremely pretty." Chloe almost choked on her drinking water, quickly dodging my super innocent gaze entirely. Earlier, when he asked how to greet their enemies, she assumed he was totally joking, so she purposely sent him those incredibly cheesy boomer good morning flower memes. She never expected me to be 100% serious. Just a happy accident. After that, I kept grinding hard, live editing the picture on their homepage, while easily blocking the enemies from restoring their broken data. For me, this was just a very simple side quest, but the US Tech Division was clearly having a massive mental breakdown. Chloe noticed some English comments on the official Weibo page complaining, "Do not go too far. Remove the restrictions and give us our homepage back. We surrender. Can we just have a peaceful talk?" She scrolled through all the angry comments, feeling absolute disdain. Peaceful talk? Why did you not just do that initially? Now watch closely. The official FBI media released a massive statement angrily declaring they would aggressively hunt down anyone involved in this wild cyber intrusion. Chloe stared at the mini-program I just installed in the bottom right corner, turned her head, and nervously asked, "Is this anti-tracking system legit?" The encryption looked super high-end, making her marvel, like she was staring at an absolute genius, totally unable to find any single flaw. But what if their agents had way better tech guys? Hearing her panic, I did not give a definitive yes. Instead, I shook my head. I do not know, so I must make this picture look prettier. Chloe completely froze, failing to compute for a second. What does this mean for the pretty picture? I thought about it and simply answered, if it is pretty, they will clearly see the absolute sincerity of my greeting. Chloe instantly felt this precious kid was way too honest, realizing the harsh adult world was much more complicated than he ever imagined. She immediately sat up straight, no longer daring to relax, constantly monitoring their tracking movements, completely terrified the cops would kick their door down any second. I sensed her fear stopped typing, my code turned around and softly said, "You can log off. If you are scared, you can safely extract. Even if I get caught, I will not snitch on you." Chloe looked into my unwavering eyes, suddenly feeling super ashamed of her momentary panic. A little kid like you is not scared. Why should I be afraid? In the worst case, we do time together. She gritted her teeth hard and instantly regained her intense focus. Right then, somebody messaged Chloe on the forum. She nervously opened it and saw a rival hacker asking, "God-tier player, are you currently there? What wild anti-tracking system are you using? Can I borrow it?" I know exactly what you are thinking. She remembered this guy mocked them earlier and instantly blocked him, but under 2 minutes later, another rival hacker came crawling, desperately begging for that exact same system. Chloe was getting highly suspicious, so she typed, "Why is everyone coming to me for this? Why not ask Dark Emperor? He was the ultimate veteran on the hacker forum, and his epic skills were truly peak tier. Previously, if I had not accidentally smashed his firewall, the #1 leaderboard spot would definitely be his." Shockingly, the next second, the guy replied, "Dark Emperor was the very first to get totally busted. It seems the US developed a wild new tracking program and secretly sold it worldwide. Once we hacked in, we got chased away like absolute dogs. Are you guys the only ones surviving? Reading this reveal?" She slowly turned her head, staring at me totally blankly. Never in a million years could she have guessed that while she felt totally terrified and doubted me, she was actually being heavily shielded inside the ultimate safe zone. "Leo, you are literally a god." She could not help but lunge forward, instantly pulling the kid into a giant bear hug. Without me actively resisting, she would have happily kissed me and spun me totally around. With the crisis fully resolved, she finally had the calm mental capacity to actually care about the other hackers. After explaining the wild situation to me, she made sure to remind me, "Of course it is perfectly fair if we never give it to them. They mocked us first anyway. Do not feel moral pressure." For her faking morality simply was not a real thing. Hearing this, I thought for a moment and still decided to share the cool program. That way I will become the true light of justice, right? Chloe burst out laughing. "So what do we make of this? He is definitely the absolute light right now. Let's dive in." That night, Chloe actually came over asking if I would sell my little software program. "Worth real money?" I asked, totally confused. Chloe just burst out laughing, pointing straight at that plastic bag I kept hidden by my bed like an absolute treasure. "Worth 10 times what you have in there." Hearing that, my eyes lit right up. "Sell, yes, I will sell it. Perfect. I will get the funds sent to my account first. Tomorrow we are getting you your very own bank account. 10 bags of cash." My mind raced, feeling way happier than any kid reading fairy tales. The very next morning, I woke up incredibly early to wash up and get ready. Breakfast finished, I sat perfectly still on the sofa waiting for Chloe. Arthur rushing to work and Eleanor doing yoga suddenly noticed me. Both looked shocked. "Leo, why are you up?" I stared blankly. "Just waiting for Chloe." Right on cue, Chloe casually walked downstairs. "Chloe, Leo has been waiting. Are you two heading out today?" "We have to," Chloe mumbled, half asleep. That program sold like crazy last night. Now she simply could not stop yawning. "Opening an account for my brother's new savings." Eleanor's eyes went incredibly wide. "Wait, what savings exactly? Does he even have a share here?" Chloe completely ignored her. Mother rolled her eyes and marched straight into the dining room. Eleanor instantly chased her down. "Chloe, you absolutely must guard your money. Got it. Do not hand it to outsiders. Give it to Hugo if you must. He is our actual family." "Mom, stop." Chloe completely lost her temper right away, cutting her off cold. "Your favoritism is insane. Leo is your actual biological son. Treating him like a total thief. What is wrong with you?" Eleanor froze. She could not just admit the hard truth yet. She could only glance at Arthur for backup. Seeing the panic, Arthur quickly stepped right in to mediate. "Chloe, your mom just worries about wasted cash. Leo is still super young. Why would he need a bank account? Can he not just put allowance in a drawer? But there is way too much to fit. Leo is incredible. Now watch this carefully. He made tens of millions selling software online. An account is just easier. Wait, what? The Thorne parents stood completely shell-shocked, doubting their own hearing. Selling software for tens of millions, this wild kid from his border possessed actual skills, but Chloe never lies. The couple exchanged a look, instantly swallowing every single objection. Arthur gently patted his daughter's head, looking overwhelmingly pleased. Our Chloe is finally acting like a proper big sister. Since you are heading there anyway, handle Leo's household registration too. Then we will truly be one big family. Hearing that, Chloe smiled so brightly. Got it. Just leave everything to me. I just sat there finishing my milk, tilting my head at that warm little family trio. My dark, cat-like eyes sparkling quietly right under the bright morning sunlight. Breakfast done, Chloe threw on some sportswear and led me straight outside. Right before hopping into the family car, I tugged her shirt, looking up. Wait a second, we are not taking this car. Chloe looked totally confused, following me to the gate. You see that coming right down the road, a super familiar SUV drove right up to us and completely stopped. Nora's calm, pretty face appeared, happily waving. So glad you wanted to hang out. Have you been doing okay these past 2 days? I gave a nod, stepping up to open the door. But the car sat way too high, making it slightly difficult. Chloe stomped over, looking visibly annoyed, opened the door, and casually lifted me inside. Why call her when we actually have real business to handle today? The second we got inside, Chloe started loudly grumbling. I just sat quietly waiting for the car to start moving and finally leave the villa area. Then I suddenly dropped the bomb. I am not your brother. Before I even finished, Nora slammed the brakes, staring at Chloe like she saw a ghost. Why on earth did the kid just expose his own secret? Could it be I pointed straight at Nora, telling Chloe, if you do not believe me, ask her? Nora awkwardly rubbed her nose, feeling totally played. But this whole messy situation was definitely her own grand idea. So after parking for 30 minutes, she finally confessed everything. You two actually teamed up to trick me. Chloe was absolutely furious, feeling her genuine affection for the kid was deeply betrayed. Nora felt so helpless. Honestly, she just feared the cops would connect the kidnapper's brutal end to him, so she made him use a totally fake ID. Worst case, when that DNA report finally comes out, I will just officially adopt him into the Quinn family. But Chloe stayed furious, instantly blurting out, "What DNA report? My dad clearly said he saw your dad pick it up. Did your dad not tell you guys the report arrived yesterday?" If Chloe actually knew the real truth, she would never be reacting like this. Chloe's mouth dropped open, utterly dumbfounded. I never knew. Not only did they hide it, her dad literally told her to finalize his household registration this morning. Right then, I chimed in softly, they actually want to adopt me. What Nora looked totally stunned and confused, asking why the Thorne family was definitely not some average regular family. You and I both know they wouldn't adopt a stranger. But honestly, I did not even need to answer. You and I are jumping right into a wild family drama. Chloe sat there grinding her teeth, realizing they only wanted the inheritance money. Her mixed feelings made zero sense. I replied honestly, I refused to join that shady Thorne family registry. Chloe caught on immediately, recalling her dad's fake sudden loving act this morning, right after he heard about the massive cash pile. It totally disgusted her. Seriously, do not worry. I am absolutely not touching a single cent, and they won't either. I nodded, looked right at her, and replied seriously, you are totally different from them. You are a good NPC. Chloe froze. Oddly comforted by that compliment, her bitterness quickly faded and she started planning for me again. From the driver's seat, Nora overheard everything and gently suggested, since that is the case, why not just create your own completely independent registry? But the household head requires a property. Honestly, what even is that? Chloe had zero experience with this stuff, but I figured it out instantly. Land and houses. So you have to buy a house? Chloe frowned, completely surprised by the complicated rules, while Nora just smiled. Checking the rearview mirror, she excitedly offered my uncle works in high-end real estate. If you actually trust me, I can totally take you house hunting today. My tiny heart literally skipped a beat. I agreed almost instantly. Nora's uncle was definitely no random guy. He was the absolute biggest real estate tycoon in the entire city. After the three of us entered the huge sales center, Nora called him. Watch closely now. He was away on business, but Uncle Sterling already arranged a special guide to show us around the place very shortly. Hearing Nora, I felt zero rush. I simply wandered over to the huge display case in the lobby, curiously checking out all the tiny house models inside. When I was young, I always lived in a broken shack. Burn marks everywhere. Someone had even passed away there. Every single day, the old man wiped down the walls, promising me they would become perfectly clean eventually. He said, "Just wait until it is totally cleaned up. This spot will be our home." I didn't really understand that. I figured as long as the freezing wind and rain stayed outside, just having a roof was completely fine. Just the two of us in that tiny shack, wasn't that already our home? I clearly remember his incredibly kind eyes back then, but he simply shook his head and replied, "You need a nice, proper house for it to truly be a home. A clean, cozy, and warm place. Only then will people actually be willing to move in and become your true family." Too bad the black wall ash was never completely cleaned off before the sweet old man was suddenly just gone. All these years, I either lived in a tiny thatched hut behind the village or just wandered like a stray cat guarding the dirt roads. I never actually had a home. Now, staring at these gorgeous models, I realized if I bought a giant house like this, the old man would definitely love to move in. You saw this coming. A figure shoved past me, yelling, "Whose wild kid is running around without a leash causing trouble here?" The crazy woman bumped into me, but immediately played the victim, gripping her fancy dress. "Do you even know how much this luxury outfit costs? If you dare get this dirty, can you even afford to pay?" The nervous sales staff quickly hurried right over to apologize. "So sorry, miss. This is completely management's fault. Please calm down. Calm down my foot. This absolute brat needs to apologize right now. If his useless parents cannot teach him basic manners, I will gladly teach him myself. Do not dare stop me. I know your boss." She acted incredibly entitled. The terrified staff on site literally did not dare to move. Seeing their fear, the woman felt deeply satisfied, tilted her chin up, and approached me. "Look at your totally pathetic, poor face. Your parents probably dragged you here just to stare at things you cannot afford. Too bad for totally poor trash exactly like you. You could work your entire miserable life and still never afford a toilet here." A toilet? I smelled the incredibly heavy perfume on her mixed faintly with a familiar scent. I quietly took half a step back. I asked the staff member beside me, "Are the toilets here actually very expensive?" The shocked staff member froze, stared down at my completely serious little face, and just burst out laughing because it was honestly way too adorable. "Hey, what is with that look? You see, I am disciplining him." The angry Karen was highly offended, stepped forward, pushed the staff away, and raised her hand to twist my ear. But I am extremely sensitive to any malicious intent. I instinctively tilted my head to dodge. Right behind her was the display case. The woman missed completely and crashed straight into it. "Ow!" Her dramatic scream made everyone jump. Her knee slammed into the counter. A nasty scrape was dripping down. A big bald guy with her panicked, immediately constantly calling her baby. "Boo-hoo, hubby, this is all that damn brat's horrible fault. You have to get justice for me," Karen cried while furiously pointing her finger at me to snitch. Baldy Bob looked completely furious too. "Why haven't you kicked him out yet? Call his parents to apologize and pay up, or I will literally sue you all straight into the ground." The staff was about to turn and escort me outside when they suddenly spotted two elegant girls walking in through the door, both wearing intensely dark expressions. "That's our wild cliffhanger." They quickly stood right in front of me, fully shielding me from Baldy Bob. She glared. I was wondering exactly who was talking such a big game, kicking people out like that. Stick with me for a crazy moment. You would think this guy owns the place. Chloe, juggling coffee and cake, tilted her chin at Baldy Bob, totally unimpressed. Baldy Bob flinched hard. "Wait, Miss Thorne!" He glanced at Nora and panicked again. "Miss Quinn is here too." "Who is this kid?" Nora smiled gently. "He is my lifesaver." Chloe fired back. "He is my long-lost brother." Fully biological Baldy Bob was absolutely stunned, sweating buckets under their heavy stares. Nora calmly checked his face, then glanced at the woman sitting nearby, maintaining her sweet smile. "Thought you brought your wife here to buy a flashy house. Turns out she is not your wife." Wow, what a massive surprise. Hearing this, the guy turned pale. He jumped up and bowed deeply. "I am so sorry, Miss Quinn, Miss Thorne. I had no clue this was the young master of the Thorne family. If I knew, I never would have dared disrespect him." Chloe scoffed coldly. "Did he mess with you? Why are you even apologizing? Tell the person responsible to step forward." Baldy Bob was terrified. He spun around, grabbed the woman, and hissed, "Apologize to young Master Thorne now. You dared to offend him, you absolute fool." He hated that she caused trouble, but surprisingly, the woman was way more furious than him. "What on earth are you doing? You are hurting me." She yanked free. Realizing everyone was staring at her, she actually raised her hand and smacked Baldy Bob right across the face. So useless. You cannot even protect me. Why do I keep you around? The loud smack echoed, leaving everybody totally stunned. His face flushed bright red from sheer humiliation. Just as he tried to speak, the woman kicked him and sneered, "Get lost immediately. We are completely done. Get out of my sight right now." With that dramatic exit, she glared back at our trio. Pointing her red nails arrogantly, she snapped, "And you three stay put. You will regret this." Hearing this absurd threat, Bob, Nora, and Chloe just stared. Watch closely because this gets insane. In this massive city, the people who could actually cause them trouble were incredibly rare. Yet the angry woman pulled out her phone, expertly dialing a number. Only minutes later, someone rushed into the lobby. The staff immediately noticed him and nervously greeted in unison, "Hello, boss." The guy looked around, 40 years old, skinny, wearing a sharp suit. He nodded casually, then instantly switched to a desperate simp face for the woman. He asked so gently, "Who made you mad?" "Tell me. I will handle them for you." "Do not be so angry, it breaks my heart." That pathetic display turned Bob green with envy, but this real estate manager was too powerful to cross. Right now, he could only grab his stinging cheek and step aside in pure frustration. The woman added completely fake drama to her story, arrogantly ordering the poor guy to take harsh revenge for her. "If I am not satisfied today, never call me again. Okay, just leave the dirty work to me." The man comforted her, then glared at Nora's group. "Listen, this is a premium sales office for elite housing. It is definitely not a place for you little brats to be hanging around today. You offended my VIP client. Apologize and pay up immediately." He acted like he owned the place. Nora stared at him, totally amused. "You seriously do not recognize me? My dad is a Quinn. He knows your big boss." Nora and the Sterling family were actual official in-laws. She had visited this exact building quite a few times. Hearing this hint, the guy finally remembered. His expression shifted slightly, looking visibly conflicted and unsure. But a harsh snort from the woman behind him made him double down on his tough act. He announced loudly, "No matter who you are, this company always puts our paying customers first. Apologize right now." Nora paused, her expression turning dark. "We both saw this coming." Chloe chuckled quietly. "Guess your big reputation means absolutely nothing around here." Right when the argument hit a total deadlock, I, who stayed safely hidden in the back, suddenly reached out my hand and gently tugged on Nora's shirt. Nora looked back. I waved for her attention. Totally confused about what was happening, she curiously leaned down and listened to me whisper a secret into her ear. "Are you completely serious?" She looked genuinely surprised. When I nodded yes, she finally frowned. Standing tall, she glared at the annoying duo and declared, "Since we cannot talk this out, let us just call the cops." "Let the police handle it, call the cops." Every single person was completely stunned, feeling like turning this tiny drama into a legal issue was absolutely crazy. But Nora's tough attitude remained totally solid. "We are not apologizing, and we will sue her for threatening a minor." The crazy woman exploded in pure rage, screaming out loud, "Go ahead and call them. Let us see who actually dares to defend you guys." Seeing this arrogant attitude, Chloe almost burst into crazy laughter from pure, furious anger. To think the famous tyrant of the Thorne family could actually get bullied in this random place. She really needed to teach them a lesson. So she grabbed her phone, sending mass messages to summon all her rich playboy friends to the scene immediately. Trust me, you will love this ending. When cops arrived, multiple phones were already set up, live streaming this dramatic scene for everyone. Stick with me, guys, today's drama is incredibly spicy. The eldest Miss Thorne went house hunting and walked straight into a ridiculous fake scam. Seriously, you do not want to miss this wild scene. What kind of absolute nobody dares to mess with Miss Thorne? Word is the other side has connections at Sterling Real Estate, planning to fake evidence right on the spot. The moment the police finally arrived, Chloe demanded to check the security cameras immediately. Captain Luke stared at the two sisters, completely speechless. His luck was terrible lately, he kept running into them everywhere. "Miss Thorne, I hope you understand that our force is busy. For these minor disputes, please just go to the local neighborhood committee." He pinched the bridge of his nose in frustration. A stress pimple sat near his mouth. He had been pulling late nights busting a trouble powder ring and coincidentally bumped into this wild mall robbery. The main problem was his big case had 0 leads, leaving him super grumpy. Chloe was absolutely not having his dismissive attitude. She grabbed my collar, lifted me up, and snapped. "Does he look like a delinquent kid causing trouble?" I stared back with innocent dark eyes, looking completely naive. Luke looked at me, nodded slowly, and said he really does not. Way more than just looks. Any kid who solos a mall robber has already surpassed 99% of adults. That is beyond normal child behavior. What do you mean? Are you teaming up with them now? The woman opposite screamed, instantly throwing wild accusations right at Captain Luke. Chloe turned around and glared at her, flashing a wonderfully smug, disdainful smile. Trying to use a live stream to control public opinion, little brat. Then do not blame me for adding spicy drama. You really want to fight. You are way too green. While Chloe boiled with anger, usually calm, Nora suddenly lunged forward, grabbed the screaming woman by her wrist, dragging her outside. What are you doing? Let go, psycho. The woman already had an injured leg. Getting dragged sent a sharp jolt of pain that turned her completely pale. Right now she was losing her mind. She grabbed her handbag and smashed it hard, right onto Nora. Hey, stop fighting! Stop it right now! Seeing this utter chaos, Luke had to step in. But before he could even take 2 steps, a tiny figure zoomed right past, lunging straight at the woman. Get off me, you crazy little freak! I bit her wrist so hard she screamed in pure pain, wildly trying to shake me off. I tilted my head to dodge and casually pulled her handbag zipper. Zip all her hidden secrets spilled completely over the floor. Now watch closely. Luke looked down and his face instantly changed. He roared, "Nobody move," as his weapon's black barrel suddenly appeared. Everyone in the lobby completely froze. The rich kids live streaming dropped their jaws in shock and muttered, "It is just some hair pulling. Do you really need to pull out the pew-pew?" But suddenly they watched Luke push through the shocked crowd. He picked up some very suspicious items from the ground, checked them quickly, and aimed straight at the woman. "Ma'am, I am officially arresting you on serious charges. Please come to the station for a full investigation." Everyone finally woke up, staring at the spilled bag on the floor. There was definitely some highly questionable white magic dust inside, too. As for the agitated woman, she panicked for a split second after realizing she was busted, violently shoved Luke away, and tried to run. Nora shouted sharply, "Lock the doors right now, do not let her escape." The lobby security guards quickly snapped right back to reality. Right before the desperate woman dashed out, the glass doors were locked totally tight. Seeing her escape route totally blocked, she slammed into the glass door, fiercely threatening the guards outside. "Open up or I will ruin all of you." The terrified guards were shaking like leaves. Luckily, Luke caught up just in time, swiftly subdued the raging woman, and pinned her firmly down. She probably took too much of that sketchy magic dust. Her nervous system was completely glitching out. You and I both know something was off. Luke left the crazed woman on the sofa and explained there is a dangerous new party dust going around. After using it, emotions become extremely volatile, even showing dangerous antisocial personality traits. Everyone please stay alert. Hearing this, everything finally made perfect sense. No wonder she feared nothing daring to provoke Nora and Chloe. Right then, Nora pointed at the manager and said, "Captain Luke, this guy is probably a sneaky accomplice too. I suggest you take him in for investigation too." That manager was the exact guy who previously helped the crazy woman vent her anger. Called out. His eyes panicked for a quick second before he pretended to stay calm. "Miss Quinn, this is just a petty personal vendetta. You cannot falsely accuse me just because I did not help you earlier." Before he could finish, Luke walked over with a dark expression, his deep voice carrying a serious tone. This sketchy new magic dust actually started circulating exactly from these premium residential areas. We always suspected an inside man was secretly providing rich client lists to the criminals. So what do we make of this? A real estate manager could easily pull this off. Please come with me. Case closed. Let's dive into this. The manager suddenly froze, realizing this guy was nobody's fool. He tried sprinting away, but Luke was ready, grabbing him and yanking up his sleeve. Spotting those obvious needle marks right on his arm, the entire mystery was totally solved. After that, things escalated super fast since that lady was the main clue. 30 minutes later, everything clicked perfectly, proving this woman was actually the big boss. The manager worked under her, finding new customers. They built a massive citywide underground network. Sterling real estate was their very next target market. As the awesome squad escorted her away, they playfully winked and gave thumbs up to Luke. "Our captain is awesome." Snagging the mastermind just like that, solving a giant case like it is absolutely a walk in the park. Meanwhile, Luke just stood there completely baffled. He simply came to settle a tiny argument, yet somehow brilliantly busted a completely massive underground syndicate. Luke turned to glance back around the chaotic scene. Besides the regular staff getting fully questioned and those wealthy teens live streaming, only Nora, Chloe, and a very mysterious weird kid were still there. If he remembered correctly, her bag earlier he was just about to walk over when a cheerful teenage girl suddenly blocked him. I was the one who called the cops. I also have a few extra details for you. Nora gave a bright smile, looking totally innocent. It was you, Luke stopped observing her closely. Did you genuinely call the police over a tiny spat, or did you realize they were actual hidden criminals? Watch carefully now. Glancing at the hidden cameras around them, Nora calmly replied, I spotted his needle marks. Just that. Luke frowned, feeling her excuse had a massive plot hole. Regular diabetic patients also need to take their insulin daily. Regular people wouldn't instantly assume it means illegal stuff, right? Ah, is that so? Nora acted like she'd just figured it out. Looking super innocent, she cheerfully said, maybe I watch too many detective shows, but accidentally helping the police is definitely a great good deed. She spoke completely carefree, yet Luke's heart was still super full of burning questions. When he turned around to find the boy, he found the kid had vanished. At a tiny table tucked inside a dark hidden corner, I was sitting on a tall stool, happily using a small spoon to eat my yummy cake piece by piece. Noticing nobody around, Chloe quietly snuck over and asked, Did you make Nora call the cops? My mouth was totally stuffed with sweet cream. Eyes happily squinting in pure satisfaction, I gave a tiny nod. Chloe gasped loudly, her curiosity totally exploding. How did you know she was bad? When she bumped me, I saw needle marks on her arm, and she smelled exactly like burnt foil. Burnt foil? Chloe didn't know much about these wild things. Then why didn't you tell me? Chloe felt a bit annoyed. Even though they weren't truly biologically related, they lived under the same roof. In terms of closeness, she should definitely rank way higher than Nora, right? But I ended up teaming with Nora instead. This definitely made her feel super jealous. I pondered this situation for a long time, finally finding a perfect excuse. Because you can easily distract the enemy's aggro, like calling everyone to live stream and making a big scene. These things made her drop her guard. That is also super important. Hearing this, Chloe's heart felt incredibly warm, her anger completely vanishing. Still keeping her arrogant tone, she huffed, Nora is completely useless. I went out for cake and she literally let you get pushed around. We won't play with here anymore, you and I both know what happens next. She felt a massive chill turning around to see Nora smiling. Goosebumps popped up all over her arms. Miss Thorne, I requested your loud help to distract them. That definitely doesn't include insulting me. Nora calmly sat down at the table, gave Chloe a dramatic side eye, peered through the carved screen towards Luke outside, and slowly spoke up. Have you met that captain before? He really seems to be paying special attention to you. I nodded, happily eating my cake, while replying he simply took my statement once. I barely paid attention. He is a good background extra anyway. I have nothing to fear. Nora looked at me helplessly, then firmly turned to warn Chloe. In the future, whenever I am away, try not letting Leo show his face around these messes. His past is truly unique. Getting noticed by anyone with bad intentions will definitely cause massive trouble. Forget about the others. Just that captain alone, if he targets Leo, who absolutely knows if he will dig up secrets. He might drag him to the station for harsh questioning. That is exactly why she claimed the credit earlier. No further explanation was needed. I completely know what to do. Chloe fiercely refused to be outdone, frowning and arguing back. Just as she turned around, several phone cameras were eagerly shoved right into her face. Those wealthy kids who finished their statements surrounded her, staring in pure, absolute admiration. Boss Chloe, you are absolutely legendary. One move and you busted a massive case. Incredible hot news that even the media totally missed, and we got to naturally live stream it on site. And that is where we leave it. Look at my viewer count. Absolutely skyrocketing. Look at those haters who called you a bully. Stick with me here. Everyone is now praising our boy as a sharp, legendary hero. The crowd kept throwing compliments at her, leaving Chloe feeling like she was floating on literal clouds. Once the police wrapped up their investigation and left the scene, a panicked middle-aged man suddenly sprinted inside. Nora was totally surprised to see him there. Uncle Sterling, weren't you supposed to be away? Why return so soon, Mr. Sterling? The actual boss of Sterling Real Estate quickly approached. Still visibly rattled, he explained, You faced such an intense situation. How could I just sit around? I rushed back from my trip immediately to check on you. Are you hurt? I am perfectly fine. They never touched me. Nora simply shook her head, then introduced Chloe and me. Today was just about helping him buy a house, so we randomly stumbled into this wild case. Her words clearly carried a very subtle hint. Mr. Sterling instantly looked my way with a massive smile, reached over to pat my head, and cheerfully declared, "Then young Master Thorne is definitely my lucky star. If it was not for you, my beautiful residential area would have become a criminal hideout. Tell you what, which house do you want to grab today? I guarantee you will be satisfied." After that, Mr. Sterling personally drove everyone around the massive estate on a golf cart, checking every single unit. I completely stopped moving in front of an epic villa with a pool, then turned around to ask Mr. Sterling exactly how much it cost. Sterling found my serious bargaining tone totally hilarious. He happily patted my head again and generously announced no money is needed here. "I am giving this entire house to you." I stared blankly upward. "But why?" Mr. Sterling chuckled softly, bending down to explain. "Because without your help, I would have lost way more money. So consider this a thank you gift. Just accept it. You guys watch this." This was my first time ever getting a thank you gift, and it was a villa worth tens of millions. With Boss Sterling pulling strings, it took less than an hour to transfer ownership, hand over the keys, and finish every single legal procedure. Holding my shiny red property book, my new household registration was fully complete. That little book only showed my name. I honestly wanted to add my grandpa, but I heard those who passed away get taken right off the official registry. So I simply placed a wooden plaque in the yard, acting like he moved in with me. Before leaving, the generous Mr. Sterling looked pretty regretful. "I really should have treated everyone to a nice meal, but this massive city project is rushing me today. I will definitely host our awesome little friend next time." But Miss Thorne mentioned that Leo also goes to class at Moulton Elementary. My sweet daughter Mia also studies there. "I really hope you two can become close friends." Nora totally understood how hard it was for him to rush back and nodded, so she promised to meet Mia up after school tomorrow. "I will let them get to know each other then." "Sounds perfect." Mr. Sterling's eyes displayed genuine gratitude. After waving his car goodbye, the three of us walked back into the fully furnished villa. Chloe walked around and could not help clicking her tongue. "Truly a massive real estate tycoon, so incredibly generous." Nora smiled softly. "Uncle Sterling is a very generous guy. That is exactly why his business keeps rapidly growing." Chloe felt completely defeated and pouted, tossing herself dramatically onto the sofa. Still totally unnecessary using a kid's connections. If he knew Leo was not the Thorne heir, wouldn't he absolutely fume with pure rage? Hearing her complain, Nora slowly shook her head. "This has nothing to do with identity. Uncle Sterling's daughter Mia is extremely introverted. I have heard him mention it several times. It seems she is not very happy at her school. He likely saw Leo's totally calm personality and wanted him to look out for her." Chloe thought she was absolutely joking. "Leo is just a little kid himself. How is he going to protect anyone?" Nora highly disagreed with that. "Leo is actually way more capable than you think." Chloe really could not argue with that logic. Whether fighting thugs at the mall or exposing a criminal cartel, she honestly could not do either. Both of them slowly turned around. Staring through the massive floor-to-ceiling windows, a tiny figure stood by the pool looking incredibly serious. Ever since our house hunting, the kid seemed strangely fascinated by this exact pool. After getting the property, he completely ignored the luxury furniture. "I know you are wondering the same thing. Why keep pacing around the water?" Chloe could not hide her intense curiosity. "Is there hidden gold down there?" Nora slowly shook her head, completely confused by his strange actions too. Before the two could figure it out, they watched the kid leap right in without hesitating. Splash! He plunged into the water. A massive splash erupted across the surface, immediately followed by the sound of bubbling water. A string of bubbles rapidly floated up. The two girls in the living room completely froze for 2 seconds, then screamed in sheer horror and jumped up. They slammed the window open to go fish him out. By the time they desperately struggled to pull me back up, I had already swallowed a massive belly full of water. "You literally cannot swim, why jump in there? Are you entirely out of your mind?" Chloe patted my back to stop me from choking while violently coughing up water. Completely terrified this time, Nora honestly could not understand him either. She kept a straight face, wanting to retract her earlier praise. "Absolutely wild, right? Let's dive in!" I coughed up the water, staring at the surface like I wanted to jump right back in for round 2. Chloe finally realized it. "You want to learn how to swim?" I nodded slowly. My little face completely soaked with pool water. "Then just say, so Nora and I can both teach you. Did you think swallowing half the pool would just magically make you float? Why are you so silly?" Chloe poked my forehead, looking absolutely furious with me. I just stared back at her completely blankly. Honestly, being formally taught was a completely foreign concept to me. Back home, we only had a super shallow little creek. Since I was tiny, the other village kids always joked that to learn swimming, I had to practice drinking water first. That was the rule. So they shoved my head right into the creek. It had a thin layer of winter ice. Freezing cold does not even cover it. Completely dazed, I swallowed freezing water. But weirdly enough, I actually could hold my breath for ages after that crazy experience. So I thought that was the normal way to learn. But today, Chloe and Nora proved me totally wrong. Seeing my clothes were already completely ruined anyway, the two older girls decided not to waste this perfect opportunity. They showed me the basic postures on land first, then held me up in the water, teaching me proper breathing and paddling techniques. Under the sparkling surface, I tried the doggy paddles, splashing wildly just to keep my little head above the water as I swam. Seeing my bright eyes and absolute excitement, the two teen girls watching over me could not help but smile back at me. I paddled right to the edge, my dark eyes shining with pure joy. This was the first time learning to swim felt totally painless. Later that evening, after the three of us grabbed an awesome dinner outside, Chloe finally brought me back home. Now watch closely as we walk in. Hugo immediately jumped off the living room sofa. "Sis, I heard you took Leo to deposit his cash. Does he have a lot?" Chloe looked at his greedy face, realizing he was absolutely eyeing my loot, and instantly felt entirely disgusted by him. She just rolled her eyes and scoffed. "His money has absolutely nothing to do with you, little bro. Back off." Hugo pouted, clearly upset about being totally ignored. Eleanor stepped in right on time to mediate the tension. "Chloe, Hugo is just curious. Did the household registration go perfectly smoothly today? Why did it take you so long?" Realizing Mom was obviously probing, Chloe got annoyed and answered super vaguely, very smooth. "School starts very soon. Should we send him to Grandpa's place right now, even though she secretly really wanted me to stay?" But seeing absolutely everyone in this house staring at me like totally hungry wolves, she knew I needed to move out fast. Normally, Eleanor would have happily agreed without a second thought. But today, she just forced a weird little smile and totally hesitated. "School is starting. Staying here is honestly way more convenient for his daily commute. Plus, Hugo and Leo can easily bond. Ever since she found out I was not her real son, her hostility magically vanished. But she had another sneaky plan brewing. She wanted Hugo to build a good relationship with me. You and I both see her game. They could live with Grandpa, butter him up, and steal a much bigger inheritance later. Hugo already got the memo, completely switching his fake attitude as he quickly stepped up, trying to grab my hand. "I will protect you at school as long as everyone knows you are my brother. Absolutely no one will dare mess with you." I dodged him smoothly. Having zero interest in this childish acting, I just turned around and walked upstairs all by myself. "Mom, look at him." Hugo whined downstairs, practically crying from pure anger. The very next day was the official school opening. To keep Hugo from following us, Chloe dragged me out super early. "Here, drink this milk so you grow a bit taller." Literally, the second we got inside the car, she instantly shoved a heavy bottle of milk straight into my hands. Yesterday's swimming completely drained my stamina. I chugged the entire milk and quickly ate 3 pieces of bread. Seeing Chloe slouching and just playing on her phone, I stared at the driver in front, then casually asked, "You do not know how to drive." "Nora does." My brutal comparison triggered Chloe instantly. She jumped up in pure outrage. "I am literally still a minor, okay? Nora is a scammer. She looks harmless, but who knows what she is really hiding. You should hang out with her less." Honestly, I had never even considered that. But remembering Nora's pro-drifting skills, I felt like I probably should not judge a book by its cover. But relax. During the upcoming survival training camp, I will absolutely snag first place in the wilderness event just for you to see. Chloe figured if she did not achieve something cool, this little brother was definitely going to be led completely astray by someone else. I had absolutely no concept of that event. I just paused for a moment and warned her the wilderness is incredibly dangerous. "Are you seriously worrying about me?" Chloe felt super touched, cheerfully rubbing my little head. "Do not even worry about it. At the elite academy we attend, every student's life is literally worth way more than pure gold. They'd never risk us for a game over." I nodded. "But trust me, things are about to get wild from here. Come along with me." Moulton was an elite academy covering kindergarten straight through to high school. The elementary and high school sections were separate but pretty close. Chloe dragged me out of the house super early just to show me around and help me get the lay of the land. But the moment we stepped out of the car, we bumped right into Nora. Nora was standing by a flashy luxury ride, holding a little girl's hand and beaming at us. Chloe instantly looked annoyed and grabbed my arm, ready to storm off. "Wait up!" Nora stepped right into our path, leaning down with a huge smile. "Leo, meet Mia, Sterling Uncle Sterling's daughter. She is actually going to be in your exact class. I hope you two become great friends. Mia, do not be shy. This is Leo Thorne, and he is a wonderfully nice kid." I glanced over at the quiet girl. She looked exactly like a fragile little princess, but her whole vibe screamed that she was terrified of people. When I held out my hand, Mia jumped back and ducked behind Nora. Seriously, what was her deal? Leo is not going to hurt her. Why is she acting so scared? Chloe, of course, had zero patience for children. To her, other kids were just loud and annoying, so her tone was pretty sharp. "Mia, what is wrong?" Nora called her name twice, but the kid absolutely refused to budge. She sighed, looking completely helpless. "Mia transferred here last semester. She probably has not adjusted to the molten vibe just yet. She fights going to school every day. I hoped making friends with Leo might cheer her up. Clearly that did not work. Listen, do not use my brother as a cure. He is definitely not a babysitter." Chloe snapped right back. Then she just pulled me straight ahead. "Watch closely now." I followed Chloe, but my eyes darted over to exactly where Mia was staring earlier. Right on cue, a young guy in a sharp suit appeared, looking like a total scholar. He caught me staring and immediately walked over to introduce himself. "Hey, are you the new transfer student? I am Mr. Liam, teacher for class 4-1. I heard a new friend was arriving today. I figured it had to be you. Am I right?" Mr. Liam gave a super warm smile. After a quick chat, both of us kids were handed right over to the teacher. He then led me straight through the main school doors. First time seeing this legendary elite academy in person. I paid very close attention as we walked inside. The other kids were totally staring at me since I lacked a uniform. Plus, I was tan and super scrawny. Even though my outfit was nice, I looked ridiculously out of place. "Are you feeling a little scared?" His voice floated down out of nowhere, soft and totally warm. I shook my head, completely confused about why I should be frightened. Really, new transfers usually struggle to fit in right away, mainly because this is a highly elite academy. Most kids here come from seriously powerful families. Even the teachers are constantly competing with one another. In this kind of intense environment, being tan, wearing casual clothes, and speaking with an accent will definitely make people judge you. Mr. Liam sounded as smooth and pleasant as a gentle breeze, but he was casually explaining the absolute harshest, darkest truth about this shiny dream academy. I felt the teacher was completely wrong. If people judge me for that, that is their own problem. They are the ones who seriously need a lesson. But right as I opened my mouth, I noticed Mia standing beside me, quietly wiping her tears. She kept her head down, crying silently. Tears kept streaming down her cheeks, and her small body was still shaking. Catching my gaze, Mr. Liam sighed, patted Mia on the head, and whispered, "Last semester was really tough on you. Luckily, you powered through it." "Right, Mia." The girl hiccuped, then gave a tiny nod. "Good girl." Mr. Liam smiled warmly. His fingers slid down way too naturally, resting right against her neck. She had 2 braids today, leaving her pale skin completely exposed. "You saw that too, right?" His large hand just sitting there. I stared silently at it, frowning, getting some seriously bad vibes. We reached the classroom before the bell even rang. Mr. Liam told Mia to head inside, then turned to me. "Let us wait for the bell. Give everyone a huge surprise, all right?" Suddenly, a kid inside the classroom shouted, "Leo Thorne." A bunch of kids charged out the front doors, completely surrounding me in seconds. "Whoa, is this really Leo? The overpowered kid. The one who took down that robber." Oh yeah, he was absolutely legendary. The students were all shouting over each other, staring at me with pure hype. I spotted a few familiar faces in the crowd. They were definitely the kids from the mall. So I looked up at the teacher and asked, "I already know them. Do I still have to surprise them?" Mr. Liam gave a super stiff little smile but kept his gentle tone. "Wow, I did not expect you to be this popular. In that case, go ahead with your friends." Meanwhile, when Hugo dressed up stylishly, timing his big entrance perfectly to soak up all that classroom jealousy, he walked in to find everyone crowded around a single desk. And the guy sitting there was me. Classic, right, Hugo? Get here. Leo is hilarious. He has never seen Ultraman or even played with Barbie dolls. Stick with me here. Everyone told Hugo he was going way too far. He slumped back, his face completely dark. He sounded super sarcastic. "That kid is from the country. He obviously does not know anything. Usually, these city kids would totally bully a country boy. They would think he was uncool and probably mock him just for fun. But today, the moment he said that, the entire squad turned on him. No way, they yelled. Leo might not play Ultraman, but he acts exactly like him. He saves people. Who cares if he does not play with those toys? Toys cannot block danger anyway. Boys and girls alike actually stood up to defend me. Hugo was absolutely furious. He slammed his head on the desk, refusing to move. Finally, break time rolled around and he stomped off to the bathroom. Passing Mia, he purposely swiped her pencil case right onto the floor. He stomped on it hard to vent his frustration, then walked away. Sitting way in the back, I watched Mia bend down to gather her scattered pens while everyone else just kept goofing off. Nobody even tried to help. Someone walking by actually stepped on her stuff a few more times, but Mia stayed totally silent. From start to finish, she did not utter a single word. She seemed a little weird, though I could not explain why. I stayed put too, since dropping pens was not exactly a massive crisis. She could handle it. Since it was my first day seeing normal elementary lessons, I focused hard and learned extremely fast. Normally, when the teacher started the first chapter, I read quite slowly. But once I caught the rhythm, I breezed through the entire textbook before that single class period was even officially over. I even recognized the English letters. It was the exact same language from that cool, friendly exchange website I saw before. Wanting to get it perfectly right, I dedicated one whole period to memorizing the alphabet and soaking up every single vocabulary word. When the final morning bell rang, students scrambled out of the classroom in loud packs. "Hey, Leo, let's hit the cafeteria." A kid happily invited me, and I just nodded. Walking out, I glanced back over my shoulder. Mia was still glued to her desk, not moving a single inch. I almost asked if she was eating, but a guy grabbed my arm. "Do not hang out with Mia. She is a total weirdo. Now watch closely, this gets interesting." I stared at him, totally confused. What makes her so weird? Why use that word? Maybe because I looked completely genuine and innocent. The boy actually hesitated. Right then, Hugo and his crew swaggered over. Hearing us, he scoffed loudly. Not a weirdo, just a super annoying snitch. After class, she always begs Mr. Liam for tutoring and totally badmouths us. I just frowned. Staring right at Hugo, I asked seriously, "Did you actually see that?" "Nope, just wild rumors." Still, that did not stop the entire class from shunning Mia. Whoever hangs with her is annoying. "If you go to the office, you are annoying too," Hugo yelled, storming off angrily. The guys tried dragging me away to talk all about Ultraman, but after tugging my sleeve a few times, they quickly realized I was standing absolutely still. Then I asked, "Where exactly is the teacher's office lunchtime hit?" The building fell silent. A few straggling students wandered slowly toward the stairs. The office sat right in the middle hallway. Finding the nameplate, I realized it was completely dead silent inside. Seemed totally empty. I glanced up at the window. We both know closed curtains mean trouble. Mia was inside. My gut said, "Do not knock." Instead, I grabbed a chair from the classroom next door, climbed up silently under the window, and peeked straight through a tiny gap in those heavy curtains. Two shadows moved in the dim room. I recognized him instantly. That tall figure was definitely Mr. Liam. His morning suit jacket was already tossed aside. His white dress shirt was dusted with chalk, but right now he was unbuttoning it. I figured he was just changing dirty clothes, but seeing little Mia standing quietly by his desk, a sudden horrible feeling twisted my gut. Plus, it was not just Mia inside. Several other girls with braided hair were standing there. Thinking fast, I hopped off the chair, marched over, and knocked loudly. The sound echoed through the silent hallway. Seconds later, the door suddenly swung wide open. Mr. Liam appeared. Spotting me, he looked genuinely startled before quickly flashing his trademark friendly smile. "Leo, do you need something?" I immediately noticed his second button was completely misaligned. His shirt was half untucked. I peeked past his shoulder into the room, just waiting for Mia. Looking completely surprised, he quickly shifted his body to block my view. "Mia needs extra tutoring today, so she cannot join you for lunch right now. Be good." You and I definitely know he is lying. "All right, stick with me here." When he reached out to pat my head, I instantly dodged. I wrinkled my nose and bluntly told him, "Go wash your hands." Mr. Liam completely froze up. His fake smile turned incredibly stiff as he asked why. I paused for a second, honestly struggling to explain it. My nose is extremely sensitive. I just gave him the simplest answer. "You stink." The smile on Mr. Liam's face practically shattered. He said he would wash them right away and told me to eat. He stormed right past me toward the restroom. He did not even bother closing his office door. Most elementary kids are absolutely terrified of the teacher's office. Those kids inside would never dare move a muscle without his permission. But despite his perfect little plan, he completely forgot I am no ordinary kid. The second Mr. Liam vanished into the restroom, I marched straight into the office. I walked right up to Mia. "Are you actually getting tutoring? You are not here to tattle." Mia stayed quiet, just shaking her head. I noticed her body was trembling slightly. "Are you scared? Is something creepy hiding in here?" But Mia and the other girls stayed totally silent. No matter what I asked, they kept their mouths shut. Frowning, I looked around and only saw a phone. Now pay attention, this is where things get super intense. The vibe in there was incredibly oppressive. Not wanting Mr. Liam to trap them, I grabbed Mia's hand and marched right out. Mia let out a small gasp. My grip was surprisingly strong. In a flash, I dragged her all the way to the office doorway. Hearing 0 footsteps, I turned back to the girls. "If you stay, I will tell everyone you snitched. Everyone will hate you." Kids our age are absolutely terrified of being isolated, especially these girls who were already super shy and struggling to fit in. Hearing my threat, they completely panicked. They grabbed their backpacks and bolted out of there. Mr. Liam finally returned from washing his hands. Seeing an empty office, he absolutely lost it, furiously tearing at his hair. "How dare they run away!" He gritted his teeth, glaring at the ruler and steel marbles. He had painstakingly prepared all those creepy items. Suddenly, another teacher ran back inside looking for stomach medicine. Seeing him still there, she asked so warmly, "Mr. Liam tutoring again. You are truly so dedicated." He smoothly swept his weird stuff into a drawer, smiling as he stepped up to help. "They are the future of our nation. Must help as many as possible." The teacher found her medicine, took 2 pills, and praised him endlessly. "Your professional ethics are so rare these days. Listen, I'm actually heading out to eat with the school principal right now. Come along with me. Showing your face more will definitely help your upcoming promotion evaluation." Hearing this, Mr. Liam happily accepted. We both see right through his act, right? Before he could clean up, she quickly dragged him away. "Hurry up, cannot make the principal wait." Meanwhile, I led Mia downstairs. She shook my hand off. "We cannot run. The teacher will be furious." She kept her head lowered, tears falling non-stop. She looked absolutely terrified. I didn't entirely understand, but seeing her cry so heavily, lunch was clearly out of the question now, so I called Nora. 30 minutes later, she rushed over, spotting us under a large tree by the road. I sat on the bench, Mia sleeping on my lap. "What happened?" she asked, walking right over. She sat beside Mia, then looked at me. I pointed to her face. She cried until she literally passed out. Nora clearly noticed those incredibly swollen eyes. Feeling pretty helpless, she scooped Mia up and glanced at the closed cafeteria. "You guys haven't eaten yet, right? Come on, I will buy you both some food." Nora hurried over and skipped lunch herself. I shook my head. "I have something to do right now." I looked right at Nora. "Do you have a laptop?" Confused by the question, she paused. "Yeah, you need it." I nodded. "I need it right now." I stood up and walked away without another word. My insane speed left Nora absolutely speechless. With 0 time for questions, she carried the kid and rushed after me to her car. She had a backup laptop inside. I had already used one at the electronics store before. I instantly powered it up, then casually yanked out the data cable, charging her smartphone. Nora carefully laid Mia down. Seeing the device, she asked, "Whose phone is that?" Without looking, I said the teacher's. Nora's mouth literally twitched. "Why on earth did you steal a teacher's phone?" Because he was acting super weird. Ignoring her totally shocked expression, I plugged the cable in. While searching how to crack the password, I casually explained, "A police officer once told me bad guys always hide dark secrets inside their phones." Hearing this, Nora frowned, finally grasping the dark situation. "Trust me, you are going to want to see what we uncover next. Do you think Mr. Liam is a bad guy?" "I really have no idea." I shook my head. "You and I are about to uncover the truth." My hands kept moving. "We will know once we find the actual evidence ourselves." Normally, Nora would think this kind of wild guessing was totally ridiculous, just like making totally baseless accusations against an innocent person. But I had already saved her life, and I kept proving my amazing skills time and time again. Nora totally trusted me now, just like Chloe. Instead of telling me to return the phone, she gently asked, "Can you unlock it? If not, Chloe can help." But before she even finished, her jaw dropped completely. The laptop screen was already flooded with intense hacking code. If she knew I was the exact same brilliant hacker who caused total chaos online 2 days ago and made that viral internet meme, her eyes would absolutely pop out. 3 seconds later, the phone pinged and unlocked itself. The bright screen lit up and Nora quickly leaned closer. She spotted a tiny picture in the corner. Her gaze turned completely sharp, and she instantly covered my eyes. "You really should not see this next part. Hand me the phone, okay?" Her voice was freezing cold. I rarely saw her this incredibly furious. I hesitated for 2 seconds, then nodded and handed the phone over. "Now pay close attention here." For over 10 straight minutes, Nora sat completely silently scrolling through that mysterious phone. Then she stepped out of the car entirely alone. When she returned, her knuckles were badly scraped up. People often strike things when completely overwhelmed by pure, unstoppable rage. I paused for a brief moment, then softly said, "You should honestly just punch Mr. Liam." Hearing that Nora completely froze, then let out a tiny laugh. She wiped her hand and gently rubbed my head. The freezing anger in her eyes faded, returning to her usual comforting warmth. "Thank you so much," she said softly, looking completely serious and incredibly sincere. Mia definitely went through something terrible. Looking at her sleeping so peacefully, I whispered, "Is she skipping all of her classes for this afternoon?" "She is not going." Nora looked completely heartbroken. "I need to take her directly to the hospital for a quick trip today." "Okay." I nodded, not asking any more questions. Before I left the car, Nora still looked extremely worried about me. "Why don't you just skip school today as well? Wait 2 days until I completely fix this mess." I looked right at her, remembered something highly important, and shook my head to decline. "We have PE this afternoon. The teacher mentioned a physical test. Plus, even without Mia, if Mr. Liam really is a villain, all the other classmates will absolutely be in huge danger." Nora totally froze, staring at the tiny kid standing beside the car door. She was deeply moved by the absolute unwavering determination shining on my face. You and I both felt that shift, right? Her deep gloom vanished. Finally, she sighed so softly. "All right then, you really have to be careful. I will arrange things quickly and return. If you face danger, absolutely do not act recklessly." I nodded, knowing she truly cared. Lunch break flew by and students returned to their classrooms one after another. Mia, taking a sick leave, grabbed absolutely nobody's attention. I just intensely stared at her empty desk until PE class finally started. Everyone headed outside. The huge physical test for this semester was a brutal 400-meter dash. For kids our age, that run was pure hell mode. Afterwards, most students were completely panting heavily. Some could not even breathe properly and had to be supported to the side to rest. I honestly felt absolutely nothing, not even breaking a single sweat. It felt like a basic warm-up. "All right, the remaining time is completely free for fun activities. Go find somewhere to rest." Seeing that absolutely everyone had zero energy left, the gym teacher simply blew his loud whistle and dismissed our class. A few buddies rushed over, inviting me into the shade. "Let us play trading cards. We brought a lot. Come play with us." Suddenly, massive gasps of pure shock echoed from nearby. It turned out the bully Hugo was opening rare card packs. "Oh my gosh, these are all super rare cards, Hugo. You are unbelievably lucky." Soaking up the crazy praise, Hugo lifted his chin and glared right at me. "If you guys play with him, you cannot ever see my cards. Make your choice." Those little kids, totally obsessed with trading cards, instantly felt a massive threat. After hesitating for just a few seconds, those fake friends totally abandoned me, sprinting like the wind straight over to Hugo's side. Honestly, seeing that made me feel relieved. Compared to silly cards, I was way more interested in basketball. I strolled over to the giant hoop and grabbed a ball. I just realized they have such a weird, rough, yet strangely soft texture. The gym teacher, resting nearby, saw this and smiled. "What is up? Want to learn how to play some basketball? If you want, I will absolutely teach you how to shoot. Playing this sport helps you grow taller." That second part instantly made my eyes light up. I stared up at the nearly 2-meter-tall teacher and sincerely asked, "If I learn it, can I be as tall as you?" Taken aback, the teacher burst out laughing. "Trust me, you and I are absolutely going to love watching this super interesting kid. You might not get as tall as me, but you can definitely still catch up to your classmates. So trust me, you are going to love this." While everyone hid from the sun playing games, our guy faced the heat alone, practicing his shots all afternoon without stopping. At first, every single shot totally missed. Having short arms and legs made controlling that massive basketball incredibly difficult for him. Some kids noticed his clumsy form and just laughed, pointing and ruthlessly mocking his really awkward moves. Hugo also watched him running around like crazy, muttering, "Whatever, he looks incredibly pitiful. Let him join our game if he really wants to come over and play." Acting high and mighty, Hugo thought all the cash on his card would be his later anyway. Treating him just a little bit better absolutely wouldn't hurt. But our boy absolutely refused to give up on basketball. Missing just meant he tried again. Whenever he struggled, he thought about the teacher's advice, analyzing exactly how to adjust. By the time the kids in the shade grew totally dizzy from their trading cards, they suddenly looked up. A basketball launched from outside the three-point line made a loud swish, sinking perfectly through the net. It really went in. The kids completely thought their eyes were just playing tricks on them. Watch closely now. Right after he bent down and grabbed another ball, standing at the three-point line, he casually tossed it for another perfect swish. The gym teacher, who had a totally nonchalant attitude initially, was suddenly standing right by his side, eagerly helping him fetch the ball. He looked at him like discovering pure treasure, watching closely and constantly nodding. "Not bad, you are definitely an amazing sports prodigy for the future. I saw you running so effortlessly. Let me time you for a 100-meter sprint later," but our hero refused this time simply because he just wanted to grow taller. Hearing that the gym teacher rubbed his nose, completely lacking the heart to admit he was just joking. Basketball does not guarantee height. After that moment, a massive crowd of students gathered to watch. Every basket sparked massive cheers, way wilder than opening any card packs. Kids honestly respect raw, direct strength much more than any adult ever does. Instantly, those trading cards were completely thrown aside on the ground. Everyone rushed over to loudly cheer, acting as his own personal hyped-up cheerleading squad. Hugo had brought those cards to flex his status, but was completely overshadowed yet again. Furious, he angrily ripped out several handfuls of grass. However, the weather was just incredibly hot. Fearing a heat stroke, the gym teacher didn't dare let him practice any longer. With exactly 10 minutes remaining until class officially ended, he quickly collected all the balls. Sweating profusely and feeling incredibly thirsty, he dashed straight over to the outdoor sink to splash his face, then quickly jogged to the nearby water dispenser for a refreshing drink. "I know what you're thinking." Suddenly, a familiar figure walked out of that academic building. It was Mr. Liam. Right behind him, he was leading a few little girls. He instantly recognized the tutoring students. Remembering Nora's absolutely furious expression after checking the phone, he quickly dropped his paper cup and quietly trailed right behind them. Mr. Liam led the group behind the academic building, walking into a small wooded area located at the back of the school. It was midsummer. The lush, dense trees meant he had to get extremely close just to clearly spot their dark silhouettes. Then he saw Mr. Liam doing something horrific, using a ruler to lift the girls' skirts. This absolutely sick action made him frown instantly, feeling deeply uncomfortable inside. Even without a proper education, he clearly understood that growing girls have sensitive, strictly private boundaries. "Let's jump in. Don't touch these carelessly. Confess the exact truth right now and you can go home. Otherwise, we play a game." Mr. Liam's normally gentle voice suddenly dropped incredibly low. His laugh echoed, sounding incredibly creepy. The wooden ruler glided past the girls' knees. A dark voice demanded, "Who took my phone?" He finally realized his precious device was missing, immediately blaming them. I certainly did not anticipate this madness. I felt absolutely guilty inside my heart. I almost stepped up to admit I took it, but remembered Nora explicitly warning me not to act too recklessly. Even though Mr. Liam did not look insanely strong, I still decided to wait. Watch closely. After his fierce questioning, the girls cried. Their tears absolutely did not soften his heart at all. It just fueled his twisted ego even more. "Yes, cry, look, even more pitiful, just like that. Absolutely beautiful." He acted completely possessed, circling the girls while a huge, bright smile suddenly bloomed. Then he ordered, "Now take it off." I frowned, totally confused at first. I simply didn't react until I saw a little girl slowly pulling her school uniform down. "Stick with me here." Right then, I finally realized Mr. Liam's true plan, and my absolute fury just boiled over. Looking back years ago, a new teacher arrived at our village. She was an absolutely beautiful older sister. She actually sought me out a few times, pushing me to attend school. She always promised that knowledge alone transforms destiny. I embraced learning and discovered its true power. That is exactly why I came to bring knowledge to you. These people will not stay bad forever. She swore knowledge would change everything. But stick with me here before that toxic village ever improved. The hopeful girl completely lost her mind. I heard she was deeply wronged out in the cornfields. Later visiting her, I bumped into some shady local villagers casually walking out her door. Every single one of them wore this creepy, satisfied smile. No obvious malice, but that sinister look alone made me feel absolutely sick. That once beautiful, gentle sister lay there limply among ruined clothes, remaining completely silent and never speaking another word to me again. Later, she vanished into the rushing river, ending her journey. When she finally logged out, she was visibly heavily pregnant. Rumor had it she absolutely refused to bring a child into this messed-up world, actively choosing to quit the game entirely. Ultimately, she tragically faded away right on the very land she had sacrificed her entire future to magically transform and save. Forever etched in my memory will be those twisted, satisfied smiles worn by the deceitful villagers. I truly thought escaping that village meant never seeing such vile smiles again. I completely didn't expect to find them inside a school resembling a beautiful fairy tale castle. Yet a filthy underbelly existed here too. Dashing out right then, my mind went totally blank. My vision flashed with wildly fragmented images, instantly followed by chaotic screaming, crying, and panicked footsteps. Now watch closely. This is exactly where everything changes. Drawn by the frantic cries, the crowd entered the woods to discover Mr. Liam heavily injured and me standing entirely emotionless beside him, gripping a massive rock. My dark eyes just stared coldly at the fallen figure, looking absolutely ready to deliver another devastating strike at any given second. Someone call an ambulance right now. Hurry, Mr. Lee. Quickly handle those students over there. Everyone get back to class immediately. No crowding. Mr. Lee was actually the PE teacher for Class 4-1. Hearing that panic, he finally snapped back to reality, rushing to usher the students away. Just then, Hugo screamed from the crowd. Leo took him outright. He's a monster. That single sentence instantly triggered a massive shockwave. Even for experienced kids, witnessing a real-life brutal takedown naturally instilled pure terror. Hugo's bold accusation, plus my completely red-stained hands, seemingly confirmed the horror. Fresh screams erupted and panicked students immediately scattered everywhere. The Class 4-1 students just stared at me like an absolute demon. Mr. Lee, the teacher who just taught me basketball and held high hopes for a promising athlete, didn't want rumors completely ruining a student. He quickly stepped up, loudly calming everyone. Everyone stay totally calm. This incident hasn't been investigated clearly yet. There might be a massive misunderstanding here. Please don't jump to conclusions. I'm not jumping to conclusions. Hugo stepped out indignantly, loudly condemning me. Mr. Liam is the absolute best, gentlest teacher ever. Leo literally just arrived on his first day and ruthlessly beat him up like this. What possible grudge could they have? I think Leo clearly possesses intense, violent tendencies. Even saving those people at the mall was pure recklessness and total dumb luck. Literally everyone here has been completely helplessly fooled by him. You and I knew this, right? Compared to a familiar homeroom teacher, an absolute outsider like me couldn't ever make these students trust me. Besides, a 9-year-old kid acting so ruthlessly sent a chilling shiver straight down the surrounding adults' spines. So the discipline head rushed over, instantly ordering everyone away from the incident zone. He gathered the teachers to completely surround me, glaring at me with expressions full of intense vigilance. Shortly after, the loud siren of an ambulance echoed outside the elite school. Turning to look, the crowd discovered that the first responders arriving on scene were actually fully uniformed police officers. The discipline head looked totally confused. Did any of the teachers call the cops? The surrounding staff just silently shook their heads in response. Inside an elite academy like Molten, even if someone perished, nobody dared leak the news without the school's official permission. Yet the police mysteriously arrived anyway. Sensing everything rapidly going south, the discipline head stepped right forward, desperately trying to cover things up quickly. "Excuse me, officers, is there a mistake? It's just a minor accident here." Unfortunately, right before finishing that sentence, he was abruptly interrupted by a gleaming police badge shoved directly into his face. "I am Captain Luke, leading Criminal Investigation Squad 1. We received a report from a Molten parent claiming a teacher here is suspected of highly inappropriate behavior towards minors. We officially request the school's full cooperation." What? The discipline head's brain completely blue-screened. He totally couldn't process it. Inappropriate behavior. Impossible. You must be joking. This is the city's top academy. Every single teacher hired here is an absolute domestic or international elite professional. How could they do something like that, but facing real professionals, this frantic defense was completely and utterly meaningless. True or not, we will definitively know after investigating. Right now, we immediately need to see this Mr. Liam. Luke put away his badge, maintaining a strictly impartial face. The discipline head suddenly realized something was going terribly wrong. So, what do you and I make of this crazy twist? His face went extremely pale as he stuttered. Well, the suspect is here, but unfortunately a student just forcefully beat him into a severe coma. What? This time it was Captain Luke's turn to freeze. Stick with me here. He looked past the guy, saw Mr. Liam totally out cold, and Leo standing there looking completely guilty. Why is it always this kid? Right at that exact moment, Mr. Sterling and Nora arrived at the scene. Seeing the incredibly messy scene, everyone was stunned. Nora ignored the police line, ran right over, grabbed the kid's shoulders tightly, and anxiously asked, "Are you okay? Are you hurt anywhere?" The medics giving first aid nearby were completely speechless. No matter how you look at it, the person in real danger wasn't your kid lady. Just as they were secretly shaking their heads in dismay, thinking awful parents raise rebellious kids, the awful injury on Mr. Liam's neck was finally patched up. Thank goodness no permanent injuries. Once his pulse stabilizes, we can transport him to the hospital. The doctor took off his mask and absolutely didn't forget to lecture. Little kid, no matter how wild you are, you cannot hit people with huge rocks. That really causes a game over. You are super lucky today. Next time you might not be so lucky. However, before he even finished, he saw me slowly roll my eyes, focusing my gaze right back onto Mr. Liam's face, asking one single question. He is still breathing. Hearing this, the doctor was utterly dumbfounded. Watch this carefully. This kid genuinely wanted to send him to the shadow realm. Nora saw Luke stepping forward behind her, so she quickly pulled me right into her arms, hoping to take the chance to secretly toss the rock I was holding. But the second she moved, her arm was suddenly grabbed tight. Hold on a second. Luke stepped forward super quickly, easily separating the two. Miss Quinn, we have met a few times already. Consider us old acquaintances. I need to speak with the boy privately. I probably will not scare him, right? Truly an experienced cop. One single sentence entirely blocked Nora's words. Nora pressed her lips together, ultimately unable to stop him any further. Luke smiled faintly, telling his team to take her statement. Only then did he finally turn to look at me, and the extremely sharp rock still resting in my hand. I know your head is super clear right now, so can you honestly tell me that person lying on the ground? Was it you who hit him? Right now my head was indeed perfectly clear, but my physical reaction felt a bit delayed. Hearing his question, I looked down at my hands, then finally answered half a beat late. Probably. Luke was taken aback, absolutely not expecting a vague answer. He continued asking, why probably? Do you not remember I tried hard to recall, then nodded? Yes, because I was too angry, completely losing control of my own emotions. Many crimes of passion do indeed result in hazy memories of the details, but this just made Luke even more intensely curious. Why were you so angry? Did you see something? A kid who could calmly handle an armed robber, what kind of intense rage could ever make him lose his reason? Hearing this question, I belatedly looked over to the other side. The few girls being protected, their parents had somehow arrived at some point, hugging their kids tightly to comfort them. I looked at him, then directly pointed at Mr. Liam, then slowly pointed towards the group of girls. My voice was so quiet it was practically silent, because he forced them to take off their skirts. You felt that shift, right? The entire woods instantly fell completely silent in pure shock. It was like seeing a ghost. A gentle breeze blew past. The parents of those girls over there suddenly yelled out, "What absolute nonsense are you talking about? My daughter just went to Mr. Liam for tutoring. It's a normal teacher-student relationship. Why are you fabricating things out of thin air exactly? Clearly you saw it entirely wrong yourself. You accidentally hurt someone, and now you want to shift the blame to us." The synchronized denial from their side instantly put me in a difficult passive position. Hugo took the lead in echoing from the sidelines, Mr. Liam could absolutely never ever do something like that. It is all those awful students clinging to him for tutoring, making the teacher unable to rest properly. He tutors without even taking money. He is a truly good teacher. Most students of Class 4-1 also nodded. Only a few scattered ones huddled in a corner, totally silent, not saying a word. Because the incident was severe and involved the privacy of minors, the police quickly set up a line around the woods, only keeping the students of Class 4-1 to take statements. Right as Hugo finished speaking, Nora confidently strode forward, directly facing those defensive parents. With a furious expression, she said, "You have all seen those photos. If you did not believe it, why did you rush here so frantically? If you feel your reputation is more important than your child's safety, then go ahead and let this monster stay at the school to be your daughter's teacher." Her words were harsh and tough to swallow, but every sentence hit right in the bullseye, turning all the parents' faces totally pale. They only received the news half an hour ago. After confirming the photos in Mr. Liam's phone, they rushed over here full of indignation and rage. But when forced to admit their daughters were harmed and would face terrible rumors, "Trust me, you and I saw their panic as they yelled, 'We were transferring schools,'" one parent. "Now pay attention." Her face turned incredibly pale as she bit her lip, whispering defeatedly that no matter the actual truth, they simply would not let their child study at Moulton anymore. Saying that, the frustrated parent just glared at Mr. Liam with burning eyes. Instead of revealing their daughter was a victim and dealing with all those harsh incoming rumors, they just wanted to sweep everything under the rug and pretend nothing ever actually happened. Nora's expression completely hardened without another word. Everyone has different standpoints and different choices. She couldn't force anyone but trust me if Mr. Liam escapes today.